Hello. Hello.
Yeah. Blah blah blah. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. Yeah. I'ma be real. Sometimes I do wish I was just like a himbo zebra that's just like fully on the internet and all that kind of such, because then that way. Ooh. Hi, Galgadio. You're welcome. You're the first person to the stream. You got here quicker than Sir Dragon, than Masonic, or even myself. Nice work. Hi. So yeah, what was I saying before? Yes. I very much am of the thought that it would be great being like the online zebra and what have you. Not sure if I told you, but you burned your noodles to charcoal because you forgot to... No! How did you forget the water? How do you forget the water? Actually, how did I forget the water? I do not have a bottle of water with me at my desk, and considering I've been like running like a cold/flu, I definitely need a water. Hang on a second. I'm an idiot. Is my fan running? Better be running. I think it's running. All right. I got my water this time. But yeah. How dare you burn perfectly good noodles? What did the noodles ever do to you? Also, Hans, hello. There we go. All right. So yeah. So I'm running a bit of a cold, to be real with you. I don't know if you can hear it in my nose and in my throat, but I wasn't able to join in with Code the Yoshi last night for their Halloween stream, which was rather unfortunate. I was really hoping to help him. Hey! Incineroar! Tap Y to attach a web to an... Sorry. I am already on the Spider-Man game, as you can see here, and I'm looking at like all the different options that I can enable or disable. So let's see. Press O after Gee, thanks. Nah, you mistimed that one. Resupplies after performing a finisher? I don't use gadgets that much, unless... Can I be, like, purchasing more? Yeah, I can. Okay. There's only 5 I can hold, so... Knocks back all with a blast of concussive force, and making them vulnerable to area attacks. Air combos and yank downs. 18 and 19. Alright, that's a cool feature. Alrighty. Let's get into this.
Chief Clark, everything okay?
We're about to demolish a hospital that was damaged during Sandman's attack, but there's a lot of debris slowing down the technicians. If you're free, they could really use your webs to help keep the building stable while they work.
Absolutely!
Thanks. We'll keep working until you get here.
Right at the get-go, we are going to be doing... Oh, hang on. Alright, here we go. You ready? Three, 2, 1, and go. Go. Okay, how have I forgotten this bit already? 3, 2, 1, and go. There we go. So you have to press both at the same time.
If the reports coming in from Brooklyn are to be believed, these Spider-Men have grown more powerful than we feared. Magic portals, subway cars disappearing off the tracks, fire engines flying through the night sky, and
yep, flying through the night sky right now.
Webbing and property damage weren't enough. Now we add mystical arts into the mix. Does their desire for destruction know no bounds? I almost feel sorry for this lost soul, groomed for a life of criminality and Speaking of it seems Spider-Man was cohorting with notorious thief, the Black Cat. Their costumes must be cut from the...
Shouldn't you guys be in an hourglass or something? Gotta get that sand crystal.
There we go.
Be all clear now.
And bam. Got him.
They're circling me, Mija. Wishing I just stayed home with you. Keep me. Help you with your homework.
Slowly but surely, we're getting all the thingamajiggies of Flint Marco's nonsense.
But it's too late now.
Marco fell right into their trap. But wait.
Ooh, photo.
Kid? How did I not know about this?
Just check back in on Marco. He's steadily improving, making more and more sense. He's even eating again.
There we go.
You can hear me, Marco. Not interested in a puppet show. I'm trying to help here.
No, don't steal my shirt again. I need it. No. And there's a knife in my head. So much stuff going on. And I am not being a good, like, streamer of being, like, you know, saying hi to everyone and going, how was your evening? What are your thoughts on the personas?
The beast inside me. But that ain't been me for a long time. Just like I promised you.
Marco gave up Sandman for his daughter. And Craven forced it out of him for a stupid hunt.
Here we go.
Well, look who's in the neighborhood. Yo, who's gonna say the same about you?
Yeah! All these buttons. Should I dehimbo? No, please don't dehimbo. I need my strength. I need all the strength I can. Hi, thank you.
There's a problem with your VTOL. Let me take care of it.
And bam. Did it.
We should take this on the road sometime. Sounds like a good excuse to finally build that Spider-Mobile.
Yum. Hey, I now get parts. Just getting distracted by like every little thing as I make my way to the side mission as a distraction from the main mission. Because they want me going to like Coney Island or some shit, and I'm like, fuck that nonsense.
Hey, Pete, you got a minute? I could use some perspective on our mutual friend.
Which one?
Jonah do this time?
Usually I can deal with him, but lately it's like he's determined to get under my skin. You're a veteran. Any advice?
With Jonah, it's a never-ending war. Trust me, pick your battles. You learn how to tune him out
Another,
eventually.
I'm not sure I have that superpower, Spider-Man. I know I can't die on every hill, but...
But you're Mary Jane Watson, defender of truth. A much cooler superpower.
Yay.
But maybe you have to give an inch to get one? Ugh, I don't know. I'll think about it.
Alright, she'll think about it.
Anytime, Watson.
But yeah, don't de-himbo me.
In every zone except the last one. The demo crew's in there. There's 4 of them.
I'll find them. Just keep your radios open. And make sure...
By the by, I'm wearing like the Amazing Spider-Man outfit. Because out of the different Spider-Man outfit and such, I like Amazing Spider-Man 2's, I like Amazing Spider-Man 2's outfit.
Make Spidey Daddy proud.
Ah, throat.
All right. I find the people, Clark gets them out. Help! Is that a robot?
Hey, it's Spider-Man. I just relayed your location to fire and rescue, so they'll be here any minute. It's gonna be okay.
Spider-Man. Thank you.
Hey, Clark, did you get the location I just sent over?
Alright,
Team's
gotta get
moving in
moving.
now. Thanks.
Spider-Man's here.
I love how we put a robot in here.
I mean,
And I was completely oblivious to the rat. I was just so focused on my mission right now of finding the crew members. But I want to, like...
time to test out my pulse blast then.
Oh, I already pressed it by accident, so...
Anyone? I can't move! Help!
Hang on, I'll get you out of there.
There we go, and then...
Thank you.
Help's coming. Know where you are, and they'll be here soon. You're going to be okay.
Hi, Furry Cures. No, don't be calling people sons of bitches.
Hey, Clark.
You gotta be polite.
Just came in. We'll head right over once we finish getting Mr. Robleski out.
Is someone there? My leg! I think it's broken.
I'll get you out. One sec.
No!
Fire and rescue's on the way. Just try not to move. They'll have you out of here soon.
Okay.
Alright. Is that all of them?
You, Spider-Man.
Looks like I need to go up. So it's field testing time for my latest upgrade.
My insurance better cover this, or I swear.
Nice. They use compressed air for jump when its landing will replenish it.
Did you get the last location I sent your way?
Heading there now. There's only one other worker left inside. Hurry, Spider-Man.
Leave it to me.
Yeah, I'm moving. How is it going, Furry Cures? I'm not very talkative right now because, like, 1, I don't have, like, too much to talk about and what have you, and 2, sore throat nonsense, so...
I'm coming. Just hang on.
There we go. That thing.
Pull them out.
You just woke up? Fair enough.
Fire and rescue's on its way. Are you okay?
I'm good. I saw somebody up ahead a few minutes ago. Purple jacket. Make sure you help them.
Hey, Clark. I just sent a new location your way. But this guy
Here we
said someone
go.
else is still trapped in here.
Really? We're not missing anyone else. But if you can find them, we'll get them out.
I'm on it. Nobody here.
This is a very weird section. I don't know how I feel about it.
This'll take some maneuvering.
Easy.
We got everything worth taking. We keep digging for more. This whole place is gonna come down.
The prophecy says we don't die today. You want to be a follower?
I'm sorry, the prophecy? The fuck are these guys talking about?
As soon as they're done with the deserters, we're out.
Let's go. Hi there, Phantom. Welcome to the stream. Hopefully you're doing alright. I have a little bit of a cold, but other than that, I'm enjoying my time. I'm right now going through more of Spider-Man 2. I got a lot to catch up on.
We'll need them in the days ahead. The flame disappointed me.
Right now we're playing as like a robot spider owned by Spider-Man. What the hell are they doing?
Anything to the police? Never even mentioned the flame. I just wanted out.
Then you should have remembered we all go out the same way we come in. Painfully.
Yep. Alright, here we are. We're in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 outfit, by the by, because that one I feel like is like one of the better outfits.
So, what's my prophecy? Endless fighting? Death by building? Grow 4 arms and become a giant man spider? To burn with the rest of the unworthy. That's it? Oh, okay.
Nice himbo rating, or cute rating, sorry, I should say. What's the himbo rating at?
Can we take this outside?
Ah. Ah.
Besides me knocking you out, obviously, we're better than you ever will be. Who are you people? The only ones worthy enough to survive what's coming!
There we go. Alright, time to get him out.
Burns eternal.
Yeah, sure. I don't believe you. Flames die out. The fuck are you? Oh, it's Scorpion. She's gonna be like, get over here, I reckon. Oh, nope, she's protagonist?
What's your deal?
There you are.
Hey!
You never did like my smoking.
What?
Lowlifes call me Wraith. Fits pretty well, I think.
I tried. Where have you been?
I am not familiar with where she went after, like, some of the New York stories and shit.
No time.
What about them?
They made their choice.
That's not cool.
And they said it couldn't be done.
There we go. You just wanted to test this, but can you get a Grant's cute in chat? You can't because it don't work.
I thought she'd just need some time after what happened with Hammerhead.
Zeebs is a cutie.
I am not a cutie. I refuse that. Do not believe Blue Foxy Nicey IC voice lines.
And the other on these cultists. I need more eyes.
Ooh, hello.
Go suck a lemon.
You go suck a lemon.
Stash in the area.
Alright, now I need to do, like, the clever mask thingy-majiggies. Also, I do not have a thing for Lycra. I'm just having to wear it while Peter Parker's Spider-Man. For Miles Morales, I go for this cool fucking attire here, where he's in, like, you know, hoodie and jacket shit. Alrighty. There we go.
Another layer of security. This door's reinforced and controlled by an electric overlay. System's not getting any power. Need to spark it back online.
Oh, it has to be on like multiple thingamadiggies, doesn't it? Of course it does.
That's not the one.
And bam!
That's one generator up and running. I think we need a little more power just to be safe.
Nah, we got all three, so I think we're good. Nah, sorry, Phantom. Doesn't work even for subscribers anymore. It's just for me and moderators, because he got abused by normal users.
Hey, kid. You get my stash by the cage?
The cage! Thought it looked familiar.
Got a great view of the hoops on the west side of the building. One of the most legendary street ball courts in the world. Before I started stealing, most of my fights with your dad were on that blacktop.
No way! You and Pops used to battle?
Nah, we go to war. But when it was 2-on-2, he put it to rest. He was a bully baller, and I was a trash talker. We were undefeated.
How about we come back after your parole? Play a little pickup?
Trust me, nephew. You don't want the smoke.
Come on. My room could use another poster on the wall. Later, Unc.
Huh.
When you cross, I want you to take your midterms in one piece. Is that a good photo, Spider-Man? Hey, send it to the student newspaper.
Slowly but surely getting all the photos we need. Alright, so there's another one there. Alright, let's go for that Marco thing next. And then after that we'll go for Coney Island.
Class on time? One of the greatest powers I've ever seen.
Meow.
So which one of you is in charge here? Let me have that sand crystal, and I'll be on my way.
The _ Phantom _ Master 117 paid me to say hey GrantZeebs. I know I'm a TTS bot, but I have to say you a cute Zebby boy.
I know that was you, Phantom. I know that was you, Phantom, saying all that. There we go.
Now, where were we?
That was a lot faster with Miles's superpowers allowing him to use like electricity to do the
They don't care.
to do the thingamadiggies.
With a net, try to hold me down. I was sad before I knew it.
Cookie for Masonic. We need Icy, Kusaki, and Code in here to tell Grant he's cute. You're gonna get maybe Code in here, but you would not get Kusaki or Icy in here. I'm not popular enough for either of the two while I'm hanging out in my Discord. I rarely hang out in my Discord anyway, though, but you're not gonna find Kusaki saying any of that shit. Kusaki would just sort of be like, who?
Feckless government officials and a country on the brink of a collapse not seen since the fall of the Roman Empire. Get the worst.
J. Jonah Jameson.
The dilemma we face is that of a faceless. It seems another masked vigilante is bringing their illegitimate justice to the streets. All reports indicate an individual disguised in purple, exporting a take-no-prisoners approach to the illegal activities they perpetrate. Some of you have criticized.
Sorry, guys. Well, feed today is canceled.
The underscore phantom underscore master 117 paid me to say Phantom did say that or holding me hostage or anything. I'm saying it on my free will.
You can get Scribbly to come in? Oh, I do not believe you. I challenge anyone to get streamers to get into this chat and say that I'm cute. Or try and get into my Discord and get into my channel and say I'm cute.
Gotta find more crystals to
It ain't happening. Alright, so 4 more thingy-madiggies to get Marco's thingy-madiggy done. Where there's 1... Not too many from the looks of it. Alright, I gotta get to here. I gotta get to downtown Brooklyn for Coney Island. Alright, let's...
Marco's memory is returning, and he's agitated. The doctors are piecing together what happened. It sounds like it's not all his fault. I'll let you know if I hear more.
Bonk. More chests. Streamer challenge. Sure thing. You know, I say this with confidence because I know it's not gonna happen, right? Like, I know it's not a thing because the... I don't know. Just... I feel a bit of the odd man out sometimes when trying to do things. Donk. Like, it's just... I feel like I do a lot... I feel like I have to do quite a bit to get, you know, some of the Australian furs and such like that, compared to, you know, Code or Dazzy or Sashera. You know, those kinds of peeps I have a much easier time with than, you know, Kusaki and any of them. Not from a fault of... I don't think it's their fault or my fault or anything like that. It's just... Sometimes people just... Alright, let's see. Where in the world are they wanting us to take a photo? Huh? Oh. Brooklyn 99.
Nice.
Ah, the Manhattan Bridge. Can you believe they started building it in 1901? Finished in 1909. I thought it was old when I was a kid, but now it's just amazing the history that's in this city.
Alrighty. Oh, you gotta check your himbo energies, do you? Oh, you've already checked. It's 11%. You're fine. It could be higher, but you got it. You got a himbo rating. You can't re-roll in tonight's stream. What in the world is that icon, Benru? That is not a 43% himbo icon. Yoink. Mine. Mine. Alrighty, let's grab this thingamadiggy then. And boop. Isn't... I feel like that's a Flint Marco thing.
That's perfect for Robbie.
Alright, next crime.
You gotta hand it to New York. I wasn't even trying to be funny there. It's a good time to be had.
Exactly.
There we go.
Yo, finally packing up to get out of here?
Hang on, I need to get rid of this person. And bam! Alright, let's break this car down. Nice. Got him.
Someone's
Alright.
gonna be waiting on these packages for a long time.
Go. Oh, there's another photo opportunity over there. And another chest for technology. I'll open that. Thank you very much. We do not have 500 quotes, Galgadio. Galgadio. If you want to know what kind of quotes I have, there's a Discord channel that will tell you, like, the current quotes that I have. I honestly do not remember quote 430. That just sounds made up. Whee! Another photo opportunity. Thank you.
That's right, people. 77 dogs in 10 minutes. And they were footlong.
There we go. Who the fuck would pay for photos? Meow.
I heard this guy dips his hot dog buns in tomato juice before eating them. Now, I get that it makes it easy for them to go down, but tomato juice? Brother, that ain't right.
That sounds crazy. My favorite quote is still Grant saying, "I just want my dick sucked." Is that too much to ask? It is too much to ask, is the thing I have learned. It's too much to ask for such things.
Incognito.
It's absolute
I don't
horrendous.
see any bad guys. Should we take a closer look?
Okay, so apparently Mysterio is working at the carnival.
I'm Quentin Beck, Master Illusionist, and this
I
is
think
Betsy,
that's
my
Mysterio.
business partner, and Cole, my technical advisor. And this is the next generation of entertainment.
Is it VR? I feel like the next step in entertainment is VR.
Excellent! Cole, a brave young man, ready to experience the future firsthand. Is there anyone else out there with courage in their hearts? Come one, come all, and experience the future!
The future! Where VTubers are three-dimensional and... Ow, okay, it's really green.
There's a kiosk up ahead. Just keep moving.
Mysterium, coming soon in Harlem.
Tell your friends, and feel free to visit one of the many Mysteriums now open around the city. Our free trial ends soon.
Thank you, Betsy. I'm sure you will.
Okay, I imagine this is going to be opening up like some other kind of side mission thingy-majiggy we can do.
Customize your experience.
Okay. So much fucking green.
Look at these images. I want you to think about your future, your hopes and your dreams.
I don't know if he's gonna think about those things.
I'm getting good data. And we're done. Enjoy the show. Don't worry, I'll be watching and listening. If at any time you begin to feel uncomfortable, just let us know. Enjoy.
This is such a weird Mysterio outfit, but it is very similar to the Spider-Man outfit. Good for them. Gotta go? Not to worry, Phantom. You have a good sleeps. Alright, let's have a look. Oh my god, it's a rhythm. It's a rhythm game. I don't know if I'm ready.
Oh, nice.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, I'm in it. is, yeah. That's what I like. Here it comes, y'all. Let's go! All right, let's break this down.
Oh, okay, so you can unfortunately play this incorrectly.
Yeah, we outside now. I can't hear y'all.
Uh-oh. I'm not doing too well.
Let's bring it home. Boom! Yeah, baby.
How many phases are there to this?
Down one more time. Now we outside.
I don't know how I feel about this rhythm game when it decides to do, when it decides to throw like those kinds of like key combinations.
Genki's gotta try this.
Okay, I'm not too great at the rhythm. I'm not too great at the rhythms.
Get ready, y'all.
Hopefully that's all we had to do. Oh, that's not good. Is this real or is this fake? I think that's real. No, I think this is fake.
Whoa! How did I do that? Where did Lee go? Was that even real? Right now, analyze later. Get it out! Beck, can you hear me?
Yes, we're having a bit of a malfunction.
Obviously!
I'm sorry, I cannot see you. Can you describe what is happening?
I was rocking the club, then a bunch of bad guys showed up. Now they're trying to rock me!
Oh, dear. I hope you're not hurt.
I can hold my own, but can't you just pull the plug or something?
It's not that easy.
Oh, I bet we're drugged up right now, aren't we?
Wicked. Why are Lee and his demons here? Is this all in my head? Beck told me to think about my future when he was creating my illusion. Is this what I was thinking about?
We're almost there. Are you still, holding your own?
Barely!
Sit tight. Just a few more moments.
Here we go.
Beck said this was my custom dream come true. Maybe more like a nightmare.
Where is the illusionist? There he is. There he is. Got him.
There's the mixer.
Get to it. Fast. I think if you finish the song, you might hit a breakpoint in the program.
On it.
All right, here we go. Hopeful.
There. You should see an exit. Make your way to the...
And we're out. What was all that about? Would you date Gwen as she appears in the Spider-Verse? Yes. That's not a question. Or that's not a hard question.
Miles.
Oh, hey, Peter.
So, what's up with that? Oh. The future of entertainment still has some bugs to work out.
Hi, Pete. Cool shirt. Cool shoes. Really cool shoes. Cool everything, really.
Hey, Miles. Thank you.
Guys, this is my best friend, Harry. He just got back from overseas.
Hi.
He's starting up a new research foundation.
Good for him.
We're starting up a new research foundation. Hey, good to meet you.
New job, huh? Still gonna have time for tutoring? We'll figure it out.
Shall we?
Actually, that thing back there really messed my head up. Can we dip?
Okay.
Ooh, Panda.
Nice meeting you, Harry.
Yeah, you too.
Sorry, I'm just like easily distracted during those kinds of cutscenes where it's like I feel like they're just filling negative space.
You good? Yeah. Actually, I'll catch up with you later.
Hey, we should really check in on Miles. Make sure he's okay.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Well, they seem nice. Not too bad they're gonna miss out on the best night of our lives, huh?
All right, here's the plan. Tonight is the greatest hits album of our childhood, and the top 3.
I hit the pause, trying to, like, you know, give myself a minute. Fuck, that's Peter. What is this game? He's way more jock than the nerd I expected. Look, they make changes as they go along, okay? That's kind of funny. All right, so where am I in this map? Oh, it doesn't give me a live thingy-majiggy. Okay.
Each of our favorite attractions. And, lucky boy, we're starting with you, Pete.
All right. Let's try this.
Welcome! All right, let's do this. Step right up. You have no idea who you're up against.
Good luck. You'll meet it.
Now, Pete, you got this.
Right, players? Fingers on the trigger, eyes on the target.
Alrighty, so...
And they're off. The Great Coney Island Open returns after 3 years, and our returning competitors seem to be in the highest of spirits.
Harry, what are you doing?
Distracting you. Duh.
I cannot see him distracting me.
Pete!
You're taking his side?
I don't root for cheaters.
Oh, I'm nearly there. I'm nearly there. Did it.
And our returning champion keeps his crown.
Yeah.
Hold up. You guys want your prize?
Oh, we're good. Thanks.
I'd look good in a crown.
But yeah, this is Peter.
Next on our top 3, MJ Watson featuring the Speed Demon.
Yes.
Let's hit the other rides and games on the way. If we do enough of them, we can win something from the prize booth.
I knew I read that somewhere.
All right, what's this?
How did I let you talk me into this?
Ah, stop and smell the popcorn.
How can
Lol.
you think about food right now?
You know me. I have many talents.
Sure.
Is he gonna vomit? I expect him to vomit at least once. Oh, no, that's it. Okay, never mind then.
With the spinning vertigo ride out of the way.
Forgot how much I loved that one.
Alrighty.
Ready for round 2, Pete? One of us has to be.
Step on up.
Oh, it.
You know you look like
Alright, here we go. Here we go.
Swish, bish.
Never knew you were so into basketball.
Ow.
With all this energy I've had lately, I'm into everything. Oh, there he is.
Yes! Show him how it's done, Pete!
Here we go.
Yeah, let's go!
Love the Katy Perry reference. I do not know which Katy Perry reference you're talking about.
Another stamp for our ticket.
But yeah, like, so many of, like, for example, this one here, like the basketball hoop ones, number one, they make the hoops smaller, and they normally push these out further than a normal, like, 2-point penalty distance, so you're having to, like, your muscle memory would be, you know, forcing you to, you know, shoot it short, unfortunately, then.
Heard pyramids are the most stable structure. Let's test that out.
I know somebody who blew $20 trying to knock him down.
Yeah, yeah.
Not supposed to be able to do that.
Another one's gone.
Alrighty, test your love.
Check off everything on the list.
Which, is this it?
Prizes is ours.
Let's do it.
Man, I can feel a migraine. I get him too. Try to medicate right.
What he do?
I did.
Oh, here's test our love. Hang on a second, hang on a second.
Ready to put our love to the test?
Yes, let's see.
You two go get to Claire.
MJ and I compatible.
Solo. See if I give off Casanova vibes.
Good luck. Soulmates, huh? No pressure.
What does this thing know about?
Alrighty then, here we go.
Maybe that you should move in with me?
Or maybe that everything's too up in the air to think about it yet?
Yeah, maybe.
No.
Whoa, that can't be right.
That's not great.
Reading anyway, our body temperature?
Or our skin's pH?
Highly doubt it's that sophisticated.
Over here, let's do this one next.
No. We gotta. Oh, I can't do it again. God damn you. Yeah. All right.
Go-karts, anyone?
Wait, you're driving? Hard pass.
All right, let's give it a try.
Come on, you two lovebirds. Got more park to explore.
We do. I did not. Oh. Oh, that's fucking Hammerhead. No, not Hammerhead. Tombstone. That's it. Tombstone's the one that looks like a tombstone.
Is that Tombstone? What is he doing here?
Looks like he's a mechanic and saving the day.
Weird.
Thanks for pulling me out, man. That could have been really bad.
Why are you looking at my ass, Incineroar?
Drive the roller coaster.
How dare villains have jobs? How dare we give villains like a full-on arc so then that way they're not just stuck as being villains all the time. They have an opportunity to, you know, be better.
Come on. We still have a little more memory lane to walk down.
Give me a few.
Did you see that guy's face?
Oh, hey, this is Haley's thing.
Miles gets to see these. Haley's got some talent.
Expert color theory at work here. Feels familiar.
Sipping Time sponsored by Sir
Well,
Dragonx88.
somebody remembered a thing or two from AP Art.
Alrighty then, let me get my sippies done while we have... Alright, here we go.
This is the best night of my life.
Hey, Harry. Me too.
I want to have my birthday here this year. I didn't think there'd be any more of those.
There'll be plenty, buddy.
There we go. Alrighty, so quick right there.
What?
Turns out in his spare time, Magneto works at Starbucks. Magneto would be a political advocate of all things. He wouldn't be working at Starbucks as like a, oh, let's just do something real quick. It's like, nah, he would be doing political nonsense. Alright, here we go. Alright, what do they want us to do? Alrighty, here we go.
Alright, little Hydras. Come out wherever you are. Dude, that's kinda dark.
Gotcha!
What? They're not pigs. You can't exactly threaten to blow their houses down.
Have you ever considered, like, I don't know, not dropping sass?
I have not, thank you very much.
Yes! Take that, you stupid Hydra!
Yo, MJ. You good?
Great! Thanks!
Yeah, MJ. Show those Hydras who has opposable thumbs.
Oh my gosh, she's at 40? The fuck?
Whew, I really needed that.
Damn.
Whose face were you picturing? On the moles? Classic transference.
It was totally Jonah's, wasn't it?
Only one more.
Alright, now we gotta ride the flying mantis next, wherever the fuck that is. Oh, it's over there. Okay, hang on. Alright, that's probably the flying mantis over there. Abomination would be working at McDonald's. Yes. I have no evidence to support.
So much cheaper to
I don't have any evidence to support that opinion, but I'm gonna say yes.
True. Ugh, smells incredible.
So, meanwhile,
Too early for that. I want to cap
Trying
the
to think.
evening off devouring as many chili dogs as I can fit in my pie hole.
give me a second. We need to go to the flying mantis.
Can't. Strict diet. Doc's orders.
Too sweet for me.
Alright, here we go.
How's it feel?
Weirdly high. Or do you mean being this handsome, this charming?
Being Peter.
Being Peter is nice.
It is
I
nice.
think we could both use more nights like this.
Wolverine works at a gun store. Wolverine would work at a bar, okay? If Wolverine is going to have a job, he's either going to be a history teacher at the X-Men Academy, or he's going to work at a bar. Those are the two things he's going to be doing. He's not going to be working at a gun store, of all things. He's going to be working at a bar, or he's going to be a history teacher. And it would be an absolutely fantastic time, because he would just give you, like... He'd be like classic historians, where it's just sort of like, okay, here's what happened. I was there, or a best friend was there, and this is how it went down. He would have those kinds of things. And then people would just have a very fun moment of like, which side of the Civil War were you on? In which case he would have to really quickly counter and say that he's Canadian. They did not care about the Civil War. Wolverine has canonically been a bartender, so you'd agree with a bar. His brother Sabretooth would be more fish and game hunting store type. Like a Bass Pro Shop. Also, hi there, Jin. Oh my god, you can get a plushie Spider-Man. Why is it asking me to... Oh, because I can...
Rock of love? That's terrible. It doesn't make any sense.
Alright, we gotta go for the most... This is our prize, is looking like the most Spider-Man-esque attire.
I'm gonna wear that to the office.
Co-founder approved.
Alright, there we go. We got all our prizes. We can now go to the speed. We can now ride the speed demon. But yeah, how's it going, Jin? How's the titties?
Come on, let's try and sit up front.
Uh-huh.
After you.
Such
What a gentleman. Hey, I said that.
Doing okay?
I'm really nervous.
Don't worry about it.
Alrighty. No, don't raise the hands yet.
What are the chances the person Harry gave his prize to would be the single writer sitting next to him?
I mean, it would be one heck of a meet cute. Should we tell her?
Tell her what?
What are you two whispering about up there?
Just reminding MJ to keep her hands inside the vehicle at all times.
Oh, we're not following that rule. Here we go.
Yeah.
And 3, 2, 1. Whee! Oh, I don't want to get my hands caught. Wolverine was on the Union side of the Americans, so he was one of the good guys. You ruined the joke. The joke is that Wolverine doesn't like government and shit like that. So you could go with either side at the time, and he would just be in a case of I don't want to take part in any of this shit. Okay, how long that is? Okay, this is a long. Oh my god, are you kidding me? This is a really long roller coaster ride. I was not imagining it being this long. Shit. Damn, Coney Island has some good ones. Oh, hi there, Greyfist. You simping on my titties? Alright, is that the end of the ride? Yep, that looks to be the end of the ride. If Zeebs was Wolverine, he'd have adamantium titties. Titties don't have bones. Have you not seen anatomy?
Woo! That was epic! Right?
If I wanted to keep, like, titties or some shit like that and, like, have a mutant power associated with it, it would have to be the Blob because he has, like, you know, impervious fat.
Showcase of the night.
The muscle up.
Oh, you know it, baby. Never did hit that bell. But the dream.
Alrighty, here we go. We're going for muscle up.
Coming back.
I think this'll be the year.
Adamantine junk. Just because we call it a boner doesn't mean there's bone in it. The audacity of some people. The absolute audacity.
Muscle up! Muscle up!
Muscle up! Muscle up! All right.
Here we go.
2 swings to test your strength. Welcome. Who's up first?
Alrighty, here we go.
Come on.
We're going for the big one. Alright.
Nice. Take it easy, Harry. Don't hurt yourself.
The only thing that's gonna hurt is your Parker pride.
Boys, boys. You're both pretty.
Alright. He's gonna break it, isn't he? Fucking thought so.
Sorry.
Absolute insanity. What secrets could Harry Osborn possibly have?
I'll give you I guess this really was the year.
Harry, that was something else.
Yeah, I have no idea how I did that.
Okay, how about we do something more chill?
Looks like the Ferris wheel line has died down some.
Alright, we're going for the big wheel now.
Hey,
Harry Osborn just
go ahead and be cute together.
grabbing a thingamajiggy and just going wha-bam. I wonder why he's super powered. If you guys have seen the first Spider-Man, it's available as a remake on the PC or on the PlayStation 4/5.
I'm really happy.
He was in a tube all this time, and there was like a black goopy shit surrounding him.
I'm getting one too.
You two are gonna make a hell of a team. The Bugle posted.
Did Jonah put you on the front page? Oh, you're gonna be an editor. I should have brought champagne.
Champagne would be nice.
Hunters and scorpions and explosions. Oh my. Jonah posted the new guy story. It already has 5,000 views. I've got to write a different kind of story. Win his trust, somehow.
You're gonna need to be mean to Parker.
Come up with something. You always do.
Thanks.
Sure. And hey, if you need some help from your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, I'd say we make a hell of a team too. Even if I do forget the champagne.
next time.
Oh no. Who are they after? They can't possibly know Parker's identity already. Oh, it's... They're after Tombstone.
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 Alright, time to go into Peter Parker mode. Oh, and he gets himself a simple costume. Oh, never mind.
Squad, huh? Which supervillain are you hunting this time? Mysterio? Tombstone?
Don't let the spider get in our way. Take him out.
Didn't expect to see me? Well, the feeling's mutual. One night off. All I wanted. But no. Get some distance.
Come in. Come in. I have teased understood as much as I can, but we cannot. Surprise! Reach at me with the little rope and the power of friendship. Take a guess.
Tombstone can handle himself.
You can't take on all of us.
Can't let them hurt anyone who hasn't gotten out of the park yet. Oh no. Harry! Come on, Harry. Pick up. Pick up.
Hey, it's Harry. Leave a message.
MJ, Harry isn't answering his phone. I've got my hands full with these hunters, but I don't see him anywhere.
Ferris wheel pod is about to touch down. I'll make sure he's safe.
And you stay safe too.
You know I don't go anywhere without my Simkarian sidekick.
Is that what you call your Sable Stingray?
Still workshopping it. I'll let you know when I find Harry.
Get back!
Got him. Still has the hat on? Yeah, excellent. Glad to know that the prize thingamadiggy helped us out in here.
That's where Tombstone was working. He's tough. So are these guys. Hunters, start your engines. And may the best fighter win.
I knew he'd be at the racetrack.
Spider-Man or Tombstone? Don't get caught!
He is testing us!
MJ, you found Harry?
Not yet, but I saw Mysterio. Craven's Goon Squad doesn't seem to be interested. Like, at all.
And they must only want Tombstone. Thanks for the tip.
Yeah. I'll keep looking for Harry.
Hey, Bumper Cars is in a different part of the park.
Additional units are on their way.
There we go.
All over me!
Got him. Look at him with his hat and... Oh, I can't see if he has his glasses on yet.
Now isn't really a good time.
Oh, come on.
The spider is
Uh-oh.
down. Go get Tombstone.
Oh, they're just piling on him, aren't they?
I'm coming, Lonnie! These nets are no joke!
Get rid of these spiders.
I have a shot of the way!
Drag it down. Volley on the way. Eyes on the target.
What's going on? I got these guys, Tombstone. You just worry about breaking through that net.
Never thought I'd see the day you defend me.
You and me both, Lonnie. But these guys, his boss wants you dead. He's a hunter, and he's making supervillains his prey.
Guessing he's not open to a call from my parole officer about how I turned my life around.
Since he's already killed Scorpion, probably not.
Look out! Get the spider off our back, once and for all. Bring it down!
He's tying us up. Nice try, Spidey. We're ready this time. Clear shot.
Ah!
Fire at it!
Oh, god damn you.
Bring him down. Moving. Get down. Taking the shot.
You. Are you man-spidering?
I am man-spootering right now, yes. It is a little bit tricky.
He's overhead!
Got him.
Pull the spider away! Now!
I ain't cute. Don't listen to Benru. Oh, god. Damn it.
Don't fall. Oh no. I'm sorry, Lonnie. I really do want to help you.
Not great.
It's gonna be okay.
Seriously?
Don't worry, I've got you.
There we go.
Hang on.
This is just a disaster waiting to happen each and every moment. How do you ever get a break? MJ! You're gonna need to be a... Not great. Bit busy.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Harry. Pete. Go. Hang on.
Here we go. Just conveniently has the strength to be able to just go like wham.
Was that?
Yeah.
Just tug. Just voila. Incredible.
Hang on. Okay, we gotta talk.
We sure do. Spider-Man.
I know. But first, what are those things coming out of you?
A symbiote.
It's my treatment. Dr. Connors said it's some kind of self-learning exosuit, but I had no idea it could...
Symbiote.
Wait.
Call it a symbiote.
You know what this means, right? We both have superpowers. Just think about all the stuff we could do to heal the world.
I don't think he's interested in healing the world. Also, weirdly that Parker isn't getting like a spider sense from all those attacks.
It's a real shame neither of us has a state-of-the-art science.
Hi, Bookie. Welcome to the stream.
I'll go make sure the coast is clear. Meet you there?
Give me a call when you're ready.
How was your Halloween? Hopefully it was all right. I heard you already told me about your thingy-madiggy with the Oh.
Hey.
I forgot
I
to.
just saw what happened at Coney. What was that?
Well, remember my friend Harry?
Yeah?
Hey, I can afford new suits.
That was him? How?
Honest?
Hang on. Suits. All right. We can get the anti-ox suit now if we wanted. Actually, yeah, let's grab that. So now we got half of the suits. So we got classic
Venom
black.
bonded with Spider-Man so it knows how to get close to Spider-Man without triggering spider sense.
Cookie for Bookie. Well, here's the thing: is this symbiote has not bonded to Spider-Man yet. That's what I was getting at. Like, that's the first time Parker has met like a symbiote or any of that kind of shit. All right, back to Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit. Now for Miles, they can get the advanced high tech. Nah. Shadow Spider. Oh, the Miles 2020 suit I do like. This one's a bop. Like, the option is either Miles Morales in 2020 or sportswear, but not that particular sportswear. We'd go for like this one, because this sportswear is similar to his time at the Miles Morales Protogen. That one. Let's see if there's a more Protogen one. Hang on a sec. So we got, that's his encoded Red Spectre, Agamet, Tokusatsu. There's the biomechanical. The biomechanical is shit. But yeah, I very much like his sportswear outfit. This one's pretty cool. And then that's his 2029, 21, 30, 27, 36, 44. Brooklyn Visions. Progressing through the story, 56. Hunter bases and story. Flame, Hunter bases, EMF experiments.
Lee, no idea.
Alright.
I think it's this treatment he's been... Oh, that's Harry. Gotta go.
Oh, that was on my phone.
All right, I'll swing by.
Swing by. Man, how many times have you said that and meant it literally?
Every time. He's probably meant that every fucking time. Hang on, I need to help Grandma.
Looks like someone lost their grandpa at Prospect Park.
Jump. Hi there, Blue. Get the fuck out of my throne. Stop going into my throne. Get yourself sorted out. Get yourself happy. Get yourself happy and financially stable before you start giving me shit. Stop it. You got your severance pay. Nice. Save it. I'm able to be dumb with my money because I have a full-time job, like purchasing like a commission for a character I have not used in like forever because I had the dumb idea of horny with this character.
It. I'm gonna spit in your mouth.
Also, how dare you say that I'm cute? That is absolutely not true. That is false advertisement right there.
Spider-Man, thank you for coming. I'm looking for my Grandpa Earl. He kept talking about
Grandpa
meeting
Earl
someone here, and now he's gone. And can you please help me find him?
Any clues on where he might be?
Just this picture. He was staring at it all morning.
Oh, this looks familiar. Some kind of
exhibit.
exhibit.
That's
This was taken 60 years ago.
That's at the thingamadiggy. I know where that is.
Don't worry.
Please hurry. He gets confused, and I just don't want him to get...
It's like near a zoo, I want to say. Give me a second. Let me get a higher... Yeah, over here.
This is the place, but no Grandpa. Let's see. Did you leave any hints behind? Is that his note?
Here we go.
A flower arrangement in the lion pool. And what's that? Yep, addressed to the man himself.
I'm not gonna read all that.
Hey, he's not at the zoo.
Look, a webcam.
Addressed to him.
No.
Something about
No, don't you do that.
Used to take weekend walks through the botanical gardens.
Yeah.
He is.
Jump. Here's the thing. I have been looking at a lot of different webcams, and unfortunately, one of the ones I do want to try and get, which unfortunately isn't normally like available even like on Amazon, is the what's it called? The Elgato Facecam Pro. That is barely ever available on like Amazon and all that shit. And it's one of the rare like webcams that not only is 4K but is also 60 frames a second, which I think is absolute bonkers of a webcam. Like the Logitech Brio, that one's 4K, 30 frames a second. Drop it down to 1080p and it should be able to do 60. But yeah, with Elgato, it's like, oh yeah, 4K, 60 frames. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. How did that happen? All right, moving on. Oh, another note.
This is Grandpa's inhaler. He probably needs it.
Oh, shit. Another note?
This analyzer should do the trick. If I isolate the compound, maybe I can create a trail that will lead to Grandpa.
Okay. Weird way to do it, but let's give it a try. Ah, it's one of these puzzles. Alrighty, so get rid of you. And then... Alrighty.
Got it. Hey, he isn't at the gardens either. But I found his inhaler and was able to science my way into creating a trail I can follow. I'll let
You remember seeing a post from a Comic-Con a while ago where a guy dressed as Uncle Ben and would die in front of every Spider-Man? Yeah, I remember seeing that image. Like, there was that one where it's like Uncle Ben's like falling in front of like Spider-Man people cosplays. And then there was another one where it was a couple this time and Cookie for Jason. And their cosplay, they were like a man and a wife from like the theater.
It's hard to balance.
And they would go in front of Batman and die in front of Batman because they're meant to be Thomas and Martha Wayne. So that was... So yeah, I like when there's clever cosplay or comic convention nonsense like that. One of the ones that happened in the furry community was there was like this fox puppet, and everyone was just having an absolute like they were amazed by the puppeteering of this like this really small fox that would just like start shaking its ass and just dancing.
Oop. I found your grandpa by the lake. I'll sit with him until you get here.
You did? I'm on my way. Stay right there.
Hey there, sir.
Hi.
Spider-Man? Whatever you think I did, I didn't.
That's okay.
Your granddaughter asked me to find you.
You're okay. You're fine.
Granddaughter. Oh. Well, tell her I'll be back in a minute. I proposed to my wife here. Right here, where we sit.
Wow,
Aww.
really? I have to ask, how'd you propose?
First off, we had to go to the zoo. Never met a soul who loved animals more than that woman. I was terrified. I meant to ask her at the meerkats. She said they reminded her of me, but my knees were knocking, man. I couldn't see straight. We left the zoo and just kept walking. Ended up here. She... If you saw her, man, just perfect.
Aww.
But clumsy. Nearly fell into that pond there. Face first. You ever been in love, Spider-Man?
Yeah. Yeah, I have.
I don't know if I have.
Beautiful. Nothing more beautiful. Can I tell you something, Spider-Man?
Go ahead.
I know I'm fading. It's scary as hell. Thought I'd be ready, but nothing gets you ready. Nothing. When I'm here, it's like she is too. Like I'm living it all over again. All nervous and sweating and whatnot. Then I look into her eyes and it's like I'm home. I was so nervous that day, Spider-Man. Almost didn't even ask. It's like I blinked and she's gone.
I'm sorry.
You said my granddaughter was looking for me? Let's go see her.
Oh.
I should have guessed you'd come here. Sorry we
Hi.
lost track of each other.
It was my fault for wandering off. But Spider-Man took good care of me. Had a nice chat about your grandma.
I just listened.
She used to love this spot, huh? I feel like I spent every weekend here with her, feeding the ducks.
I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know much. I know that she loved you.
I want to keep listening to this. Hang on.
She was always saying, Tasha, if you don't eat that sandwich, they will.
Yeah.
Tasha, You're funny like her. Too funny, kid.
Aw. Blue is crying and is just gonna run away because they don't want to be shown crying in my chat. Crybaby. That's honestly like really lovely. I'm trying to think. I had to do a biography at my middle school. And I chose to do one, like, we had to do it on a family member, and some people chose, like, either their uncle or, you know, a great-grandfather that was, like, you know, passed away or something. I went for... excuse me. I went for for my grandfather on my mom's side, because, like, he was like, a cool grandpa to me, because, like, the way that he...
For peace have been rejected by...
Nope, Jameson. This is important. And unfortunately, there's an advertisement going off. Ah! What the hell? Ah! Excuse me. Just fucking dying. Ugh. Blech. How did a himbo zebra fit? Alright. So we've got like...
Calls for violence. From, you know it, Spider-Man. An attack on what was once a destination for enjoyment now stands desecrated and defied.
Once the advertisement is done, I'll get back to the story about the biography I wrote for my grandfather.
Attractions and history itself. Some of my fondest memories were at Coney Island. My father used to buy me the nickel pop and hot dog combo, and I, like any self-respecting American, would overindulge. Now, it's all been taken. To make matters worse, Spider-Man seems to have brought a new friend along for his night on the town. Just what this city needs.
Wait, can't I just fast travel? Okay, not there, but... Oh, neither of those places. Okay.
Another vigilante to take the law into their own hands. One person wasn't enough for you to corrupt Spider-Man. You need two acolytes to do your bidding. Add to the pile of unpleasantness the hunters.
I didn't get... No, that's okay. I paused. I didn't tell my story while there was an advertisement going off. So we're good for actually, like... I mean, I'm actually, like... I'm good for resuming the conversation, like the story I was going to give and all this kind of such. Because... Yeah. Now... In middle school, I'm pretty sure it was middle school, we had a class assignment. I think it was an English class assignment. Although I can barely get my thoughts... There we go. Now I can get my thoughts across because now I'm not listening to J. Jonah Jameson. So, middle school, we had a class project where we had to write a biography for a family member. Some people chose, like, someone really early on, like their dad or their mom, and then some had, like, a really old family member who was most likely dead. I went for my grandfather because at the time, I thought he was pretty cool. He, like, had a BMW with a custom plate that said, "Go Grandpa." We visited him during Christmas, and I just thought he was, like, overall cool, like, early on in my life and such. And as I'm, like, so I asked him about, like, oh, where'd he come from, and, you know, where did he go to school and such, and like, he was born and raised in Canada, mostly. And he had like he had a brother and a sister, and then I learned like a little bit more from mom and from my aunt, and I learned a lot more about him. Like, for example, how, you know, he has a PhD of all things, and he actually worked on something for, like, he's got a patent. I don't want to like say what the patent was and such, just so then that way, the sake of his identity and what have you, but he was able to, he went to Berkeley for his PhD and MIT for his master's, and was able, and he was like graduated with like a
Should be another Prowler statue.
like electrical engineering was his thing. And he actually met his high school, like, not a high school sweetheart, sorry, like his first love, and the woman that he married, my grandmother, he actually knew her from his hometown and such, like they were like neighbors and what have you, and they got together, I think around, like they were high school sweethearts or something like that, and they got married, and they had like been together since like, you know, when Charlie and I were born, but unfortunately she passed away when I was like really young because of breast cancer. So I didn't see her, like I honestly, I don't have a memory of her or anything like that, unfortunately, just because of excuse me, just because I don't have a, like, I just don't remember her, which is the unfortunate bit. But from what I was told, like, she really loved him, and they were, like, really great together because of, and yeah, so.
More lasers? Monk's been watching way too many bad spy movies. Prowler crawled through those lasers without a fail-safe. Something here has to deactivate that laser field.
Yeah. There we go. Oh, I can just go through the lasers with no repercussions. Technically no repercussions.
There you are.
Is a doctor and graduated Berkeley with honors? Did the smartness just skip you? Wow. How fucking dare you? I may not have a PhD or a master's, but I would like to think of myself as a pretty smart cookie when I need to. He calls me a great conversation partner, and that I have like a, like he says I have like a like I have somehow like a natural gift in excuse me. He says I have like a natural gift when like meeting new people to like be interested in and empathize with them and get really great conversation.
Yo, looks like you found my stash out in Hunter's Point.
Do you have a masterpiece invention series Lotus Petal?
Had to test out my tech somewhere.
The fuck is that?
How'd you get the hang of your powers?
I actually did the same thing.
Maybe we all related out.
Yeah. Except you stole your... Hell yeah.
Alright, so there's a really tall building I need to deal with. Alright, thankfully I'm on the right side.
Pull that panel. Circuit box? Guess I'm zapping my way in.
What the?
That didn't open the door, but it activated that first switch. Must be more circuit boxes nearby that activate the rest of them.
Alright, but it's nighttime. I'm gonna have a bit of a tricky time. Oh, hang on. That might be one.
Uncle Aaron must have said he's on a timer. I'm gonna have to start each box before it runs out.
Alright, so that's one.
There's a box.
There's two.
Found another one.
3. 4.
And that's all of them. Should have access to the stash now.
Yep, that opened them all in time.
Creative, gotta admit.
Alright. Oh, of course Blue has a fucking lotus petal. $1,000 magic. How the fuck does he have one? I imagine through a secret ingredient called crime. That, or he's just really good at collecting magic cards and awaiting their value to, like, increase to the nth degree. You.
Now you're really bringing me back here. My very first stash.
Why in Queensbridge?
The Moon Turtle Arcade. Or at least it used to be before they tore it down and built that skyscraper. Your dad and me basically lived there when we were living. I used to run out of quarters so fast. But Jay would always swap me some of his. I'd give anything to go back to that arcade with my big brother. One more time. I miss him.
Me too.
Is it called being really lucky and pulling it?
Dad and Uncle Aaron.
I should have figured. The cards that I pulled in my like chapter 1 set of Disney's Lorcana have been Sebastian, Jetsam, Genie, Develop Your Brain, Scar, Kristoff, the official Ice Master, Donald Duck, the bodacious Fowl, Elsa, the Snow Queen, Flynn Rider, Charming Rogue, a Fishbone Quill, Ariel, the Spectacular Singer, and a holograph. This is a shiny Goofy Musketeer. Those are the cards I got from my Lorcana pack from the United States. It was tempting to get a gift or a party a party set of the Lorcana, but that was like $70 American, and I wasn't about to spend that much money on a card game I couldn't play here in Australia just yet.
Crowd's looking pretty big today. Maybe I'll try and move shots if you come to the show, Spider-Man.
There we go.
New York's always had a thriving underground wrestling scene. Even been to a few shows myself.
Alright.
That combination of theatricality with amazing feats of strength and athleticism. It's electrifying.
Electrifying. Grease lightning. Oh, what the fuck is that? A gold one. That one's gold.
I think I can put this to better use than them.
Nice. Whee!
Coney Island. First off, the latest news from first responders. There's many injuries, but no fatalities. Small blessings. But we have got a lot of unknowns. Who perpetrated the attack? Who was the man?
Moon.
I've got to be honest, folks. This is giving me not good flashbacks to the underground and rocks-on brawls of last year. Here's hoping that with 2 Spider-Men in town, we can steer away from more citywide chaos. Anyone who tells you these things happen for a reason should be cursed with wet socks forever.
Wet. I would not like wet socks. Also, hi there, Foxo. You're on the playtest team for that. It's a good game. Nice. We don't have it in Australia yet, unfortunately. It's a bit of a ways. It's a bit of a ways from that. All right, I need to get to... It is likely to suffer from the same problem with all TCGs coming out is to be scrapped. That is, I think, a present concern. ever since, you know, we've heard word of, you know, Magic and, Magic and Pokemon having the, you know, the full-on, like, oh, it's going to have this and that. I think the only way you can counteract that is being scalped. Yeah, being scalped. I think the only way you can counteract that is you just need to release a set for so long, like there was a, like, what was the Magic the Gathering one, which, you know, everyone just was not okay with? It was like Forgotten Kingdoms or something like that. It just went on forever.
Nice.
And there was just so many of them printed that there was just no interest in Magic the Gathering then, because they were like, oh, they were like so fucking cheap.
Especially when a multinational corporation is behind a bioweapon unintentionally getting released into the city.
Excuse me, nose.
I see some burglars. Here we go.
You're the lookout for a reason.
Actions meet consequences.
There we go.
That one almost had me stressed for a second.
Glug, glub, glug, glub, glug.
Oh, there's another Flint Marco thingamadiggies. It wasn't really available in good supply in the Western markets. What? The was made to appeal to the. What was the set I was thinking of then? That's like.
How are there so many of you? I'll give the sand crystal right back. I promise.
Like, there was a set where, like, there was just way too much printed, and there was, like, very little interest in Magic the Gathering, like, from a collecting standpoint from then. Like, how does Yu-Gi-Oh! Not get, like, scalped out the wazoo? Is it just a case of, like, oh, the fandom seems really immature and there's no point in trying to invest in them? Or is it some other thing?
I start yelling, losing my cool. If they did anything to you, I can feel the sand about to take over. And then they splash me with some chemical. Don't know what it is. I'm trying my hardest to stay awake. I'm fading fast.
Hello.
I see black.
Must have been some strong stuff this sedate Sandman. And what happened to Kimia?
There we go. Alright, hang on. Yeah, bomb time. Here we go. How can you scalp Yu-Gi-Oh! When they short print the cards you need after they get rarity bumped up from original? I don't understand this. I don't understand the all caps you're saying, okay? You're going to need to go into my Discord, Blue, and give me like a full rundown of like the lore of Yu-Gi-Oh! Outside of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, okay?
Nothing like a high.
I am not familiar with like TCG history trades, okay? That's a distinctly you thing. Also, hi there, Gabe Nelson. Hello there. Oh yeah, I needed to take a drink of water. I forgot about that, Golgato. Thank you.
Now, you can't spell nutrition without nut, am I right?
Nut. Oh, there's another Flint Marco thing I could be going for. Hang on a second.
My day be
so fine. Then boom. Morning. Thanks, but I'm straight. It's like bumping cards that were uncommon to rare or mythic in MTG. Yeah, I understand that, but the thing is that...
You don't think I can ever relax at the beach again?
I do not... It does not have to be a gay kiss, lol. I don't know. I don't know how to react to when people are like, oh, we should kiss. I'm just sort of like, think about that for a second. You can... That is absolutely correct. You can settle for a handshake from me. You'll see me at Furdu next year, and I'll just be like, hi, I'm Grant. Nice to meet you. Hi, I'm Grant. Nice to meet you.
Some angry sand.
Bam. Break that down.
I wake up in some kind of dungeon. Lots of empty cells around.
Yeah, I don't care. Oh, these are like pieces of him, interestingly enough. Alright, so there's another one there. There isn't any more there. None anymore there or there. Nope, that's locked. Nope. Nope. Alright, we got the Marco from there. We grabbed the Marco from there. We grabbed the Marco from there. It looks like we might have grabbed... Okay, so that's the last Marco we need to get.
Okay.
Alright, let's see how this goes.
Felt so helpless. Trapped. No idea where his daughter was. Ooh, photo opportunity.
Have you heard the one about the criminal who went to prison and came out a better person? Me!
There's no Greenwich mural there. What is it on about?
Looks like an accident waiting to happen.
Don't care, I'm looking for sand.
You wanna do this? Like they know I'm too busy.
Just doing the gay or European bit. Noted. People got pissed when some cards got bumped out because it means they're harder to get since they're now in the higher rare. Yeah, no, I understand that. Blue, what I'm asking isn't that problem. What I'm asking is, how the fuck isn't, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Just scalped out the wazoo? Because isn't, like, one of the winning decks in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournaments, like, just $50 and that's it? Like, in Magic the Gathering, a commander deck is going to be at least $200 in a number of different scenarios. So, like, how the fuck is it that, like, one of the winning ones in, like, their Eternal format is just $50?
You guys had enough yet?
A deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Minimum is at least 1K? Serious? I thought the winning deck was like a $50, like, you know, fucking cheapies. There we go. Bam, boom, boom, bing. Oh, that's How the fuck is Pokemon remaining so cheap then? Isn't Pokemon the one where there's like a number of different like original print cards that are like fucking expensive? How are they the ones with the cheap build decks? Bing. Break it. Alrighty. Hopefully that's...
Your boss is coming soon, and that he wants to meet me. I'm not waiting around. Sorry to break our promise, Kimi.
Ooh, boy.
Part to find you.
Marco thought Craven's people hurt his kid. And no wonder he went nuclear.
The same deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! In the OCG costs like $150 because of how cheap it is to get everything since they don't short print everything. OCG is Japan. TCG is international. Okay. Still don't make sense to me. Alrighty. Hang on. Where's the next mission? Hey! Purple Rain. Alright, back to our... Alrighty. Suit tech? Do we got... Alright, what new traversal ones? Purchase a suit mod group gives you access to both mods in the group. One mod per group can be active, but mods can be swapped at any time. Oh. Alright, let's increase the damage. And I do not have the tech parts. Or those. Alright, what's Miles got? Ooh. Still gonna keep to the... Dodge and continue the combo. Sounds good. Alright, I've done all the aerial nonsense. Alrighty. Oh, I don't have any more skill points. Okay, never mind then. And jump! We are currently in a crisis for all card games.
Never got the chance to find her.
That...
I gotta make sure she's
that
safe.
does sound like...
Maybe
that sounds about right.
Marco's memory shattered in the first place.
Oh, new mission for the sand thingy-majiggy. Can I fast travel to it? Not yet, damn it. Alright, let's just go through the main mission then. We'll probably find a way across to there soon. Alright. Where is the throw stuff? It should be enabled. It just costs a bit.
Hey! Hey, Pete! Watch this!
That's dangerous.
Okay. Come on. Let's see what else this thing can do.
What are you doing?
Science, buddy. I'm doing science.
Okay.
So, Spider-Man, you told MJ, but not your best friend?
Yes.
To protect you. I wanted to.
Right. Yeah, I get it. And that kid you're tutoring, he's the other one?
A lot happened while you were in that tank.
Whew.
Trust me. I know. Nice and gentle.
That's not gentle.
Whoops.
That is not gentle.
Yeah. I'm gonna make some coffee. It looks like it's gonna be a long night.
Damn it.
Alright, so they ripped apart a PC from the looks of it. Ow. Oh, hello.
Hello.
For some reason, I have you all the way up there. Hang on a sec, I need to fix that. Where's the, Discord Fugie? There we go.
What the hell happened here?
Calm your rice paddy.
Oh my god, that's gonna be distracting. Hearing "calm your rice patty"
We were just
from. Where's the
doing some
transformation?
experiments.
Where's Dr. Connors?
Maybe he took the day off?
No. He doesn't take days off.
There we go. And then if I go to the guest zoom, yep, it puts you there. Now we're good.
Yeah, I'll call you later.
Now we're cooking.
We are cooking. We're cooking with gas.
I need a minute. Harry's got superpowers?
Alright.
It's all happening so fast. Wait,
So, cards are going through a crisis of living.
guys? I'm getting a strange spider bot
Ah,
signal.
yes.
got
There
that
are
too?
so many problems.
Genki.
So
Tessa
many.
Something? I was just about to call you guys.
He says and elaborates on nothing.
Nowhere.
Okay, so a lot of it actually
I'll
has
check
to
it out and
come
let you know what I
down to the companies themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, with Bushiroad, they're the ones who are currently in charge of Cardfight Vanguard and White Schwartz. They are cannibalizing their own market.
Getting sharp.
Like, they actually have
Uploading
both their
info to the
card
Spider
games
server.
targeting the same target market, which is kind of a dumb idea, because if you're taking away from your own market, you're not making that much money, are you?
Yeah, but isn't it just a case of, like, you know, the illusion of globalization giving you choice when in actuality you're still going to the same
May
brand?
have had too much pizza.
In this case, no, like, so with White Schwartz, it's the game itself, I don't need to explain to you how the game works, but it's a game based on crossovers. As in, you have this series pit against this series, like for example, you can have Sword Art Online versus ReZero, because it's Bushiroad's Japanese base.
Yeah. So most like mangakas or anime production houses will be familiar with them, much like how Magic the Gathering is familiar to Fallout and Marvel and Lord of the Rings and Transformers and what have you.
In a sense, yeah, but White Schwartz was designed with
For
that
cross.
in mind.
Okay.
And currently, with Cardfight Vanguard, it was originally meant to be a game with its own lore and story, you know? And you play with units from that universe or whatever.
Maybe we'll find their boss.
So you can leave.
Then they started adding collabs with other series, which then caused people to have split opinions and had to choose between one card game or the other.
Sorry, you had to strike while the iron was hot.
Which is essentially off. You're taking people away from one game that you're already selling to them and making them play another. Like right now, the latest set coming out for White Schwartz is the Pixar Studio series, and before that, I think it was HoloLive.
That's a weird like contrast. It's like, oh, we're going for Disney shit, and then all of a sudden it's like, and HoloLive was that what we used last?
Well, to be fair, it originally started off with anime series and stuff from light novels.
Yep.
And then it started reaching to things like Girlfriend Beta, which is a dating Sims game for your mobile. Which, don't ask me why I have a deck for Girlfriend Beta.
Why?
Don't ask, alright? Don't ask. It's you don't need to know.
It's a you don't need to know.
Okay, but regardless, so Cardfight Vanguard, okay, the game is based on playing particular clans. Like, if you're playing this clan, you can only play units from that specific clan.
Yeah. Okay. So it's tribal with segregation.
Yeah, but at least within that tribe, there are different strategies you can go with depending on your main unit.
Okay.
The worst is over now.
Yeah, but then they started introducing things like a Shaman King. There's that game, if people remember Token Rumbu. That was originally an April Fool's joke, and then people wanted it, which then caused them to actually add it to the game.
Like Pokemon Go.
In a sense, yeah.
Pokemon Go was a prank. I'm gonna have to just... We had that in like 2012, I want to say, where they made the joke of like, oh, Google Maps now has Pokemon for you to capture while you explore and shit.
Even if the other Spider-Man.
What else? Instead of sending, you know, Record of Ragnarok, or you at least heard of it?
The manga / anime, Records of Ragnarok?
Yes, pretty much as long as you have heard the series before.
Yes, Battle Royale against the heavens and earth.
Yeah, so instead of sending that to Weiss Schwarz, like the smart people they meant to be honest, I don't actually like Bushiroad much as a company, even though I met their CEO.
Spider-Man can wait.
Oh yeah, you used to work for Disney and shit. Like, I swear
No. I used to work at a card shop, which was their main entrance into Australia. So I met their, well, former CEO, because he's now decided to go to a different role within the company.
How the fuck do you know these things? Or know these people?
Let's just say I have connections. I know who to talk to.
Cryptic as fuck. He's like, oh yeah,
yeah.
I met this CEO. Yeah, I used to work for Disney. Okay, how the fuck am I meant to get to that thing?
But the whole point is, instead of sending Record of Ragnarok to Weiss Schwarz, which made a lot of sense, they decided to put it in Cardfight Vanguard. Same with Shaman King.
Okay. So there was starting to be a bit of mess.
Yes, and because you can only play stuff within clans, those series were isolated to themselves, which then caused things like, oh, if the deck is extremely strong, it's not going to get support, but it's going to stay relevant for a very long time.
Okay.
But they will not reprint it.
Probably because of some...
Yeah, a lot of it's just licensing of BS, but it also tells people that are in their Weiss Schwarz audience, oh, let's say I like this series, but it's not in the game I normally play, so then they would have to invest into another card game just to play that series they enjoy.
Okay.
Abandoned foundry, this place sure is active.
Yeah. So that's happening on at least the Japanese side. Meanwhile, US, we've got Wizards of the Coast for our Magic the Gathering, probably one of the bigger ones. And Marvel Snap, I think, is that a card game, or am I thinking of
Marvel Snap, I believe, is a digital card game. And it's... I don't know who it's under, but it's not under Wizards.
Still no clue where Dr. Connors is. I haven't seen Dad look this stressed in a while.
Yeah, so it's their own thing. People like Marvel Snap. I'm not going to say it's good or bad because I haven't played it.
Back at the Foundation once I'm done here.
What are you up to?
But it's fine. It's fine for what it is because it's not actual physical product.
Yeah.
Sounds like a job for the Spider.
But with Wizards' case, it's mostly their parent company, Hasbro, being stupid.
Yeah, no. I think that's how, because that's how we saw it with how they worked with Dungeons and Dragons as well. Why they were like trying to update their OPL into like a a weird thingamadiggy. Is like it was less Wizards of the Coast and more Hasbro, because Hasbro is in like more of the toy kind of aspect rather than like the normal TCG nonsense.
I think they're introducing Dungeons and Dragons to MTG because they did it vice versa as well, because you got campaigns for Ravnica and Pharaohs in D&D.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. We didn't have an issue with that. We had an issue with the OPL being updated, where they tried to make it so that you owed Wizards of the Coast a portion of any funds you made that utilized the open... what was it called? Like, it was based off the open handbook language or something like that. So that's basically the barest bones of like, this is the attack stat, this is the This is like rolling a d20 and such like that in systems, but you make, like, say, your own campaign. So Critical Role, for instance, like, under the new ruling, they would have to have, like, paid, like, 10% or anything back to Hasbro, despite the fact Hasbro did nothing to warrant helping them make those monies.
It's the same thing with D&D Beyond.
Yeah, and Unity most recently before they backpedaled. Companies are... Go on.
It's what I like to call, they're looking at how Games Workshop handles their stuff with Warhammer, which I hate.
Yeah.
To the point where people are just like, why should I buy the models if the company itself is not really supportive towards their audience, their customers, and even the retailers? Like, people are 3D printing Warhammer figs, like in miniatures, but they're named under something else that's like a weird generic name.
Yeah.
Like Space Guy with sword. I don't know.
It could be swords and sorcery for all I know. But no, what Games Workshop is doing, like, they've been at that since the dawn of time, and they're not stepping on anyone's toes because of it. Because let's be real, trying to do like Warhammer's like method of tabletop is just a crazy fucking venture to do, both lore book wise and, you know, 3D model painting and all that kind of such. Like, there's way too much investment in, you know, trying to copyright infringe into them, because that's basically why they were so particular about their IP and such. It's why Nintendo is so, you know, steel shut about it, is because they're from like the earlier generation of copyright infringement, which is, it's only as powerful as how you policed it and shit. And we've recently... Go on.
It's, Nintendo actually doesn't follow Western copyright law. They follow the Japanese copyright law, which is completely different.
Which is...
They have no protection on that side.
Yeah, but again, the basic gist is, your protection of copyright is only about as powerful as you enforcing it yourself. So, because back in the day when copyright was first written down and such, it was under the premise of, in order for you to take someone's idea, you had to own the printer and all this other venture. So for you to like not be aware of someone also working on this idea was, like, frankly a little bit foolhardy, because there was way too much money and way too many people involved for you to somehow get away with making this content without anyone aware you were, or something like that. So, but back to Games Workshop, because I had a point to this, because of their, like, the way they've been acting and such like that. No one batted an eye, because that was how they operated for like the longest fucking time. And so anyone being like annoyed about them was basically annoyed with them since the start. It wasn't the case like with D&D or Unity, where they came into this industry as this is an opportunity for the modding community to take part and to help fuel it and such, which is an entirely different beast to handle compared to, you know, just self-policing your fandom. So for them to change tracks, you know, it just like fucked up the public conscience.
Games Workshop is very notorious for the enforcement of their IP. A lot of it has happened to the retailers.
Yeah.
Like, I used to see Games Workshop stores around the place.
What are you doing?
There used to be one in the shopping center I currently frequent, but over time it's disappeared or whatever. But in the neighboring suburb, there was also a Games Workshop. But now, it's just called Warhammer in just plain text in black and white.
Reinforcements.
And that applies to a lot of retailers out there. If you want to sell Warhammer stuff, you have to go and just deal with Games Workshop's stringent amount of rules, which are, in my opinion, insane for some of them.
Yep. So, but we always knew they were going to be like that. That wasn't like a... that wasn't like something fresh. That wasn't like something that they recently changed to and stepped on people's toes in the operandum.
The thing that's currently stepping on a lot of people's toes is what they did to content creators regarding Warhammer.
That would be interesting, because like content of Warhammer, like at least in my mind, it has recently been going into more than just, you know, the tabletop. So, and learning that they have their own streaming platform has like thrown me for a loop, because it's like they just have their own streaming platform for exclusively Warhammer shit.
It's mostly for people who make things like... Have you heard of the series If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech?
Yes, I have heard of that parody.
Yes, and Warhammer, since it's like Warhammer based, because it's, you know, it's a parody story of the Emperor, you know, being stuck on his golden throne, having a text-to-speech and trying to fix a lot of the mess that his Primarchs have caused and all this other BS.
Yep, I heard.
Yeah. So Games Workshop pretty much it's not a cease and desist kind of thing, but it's more on the lines of, if you're gonna keep doing this, we're pretty much going to sue you and all that, unless you sign up with our exclusive streaming service.
Sounds like a injunction, I feel, where they're basically, because that's basically the language of, hey, what you've made up to this point, we're not gonna, you know, ask you to take it down, because it's honestly their best advertisement. But if they want to make more, now it has to be a part of them. So similar to how, like, the guy who produced did the Astartes, like those 6 episodes, he got hired by Warhammer to do their 3D nonsense and such. So I think Pariah Nexus might be his project or something like that now, because it's like, it feels so much like his style, like 3D wise and all that kind of such. So at first I thought that was fucking amazing that, you know, here's a studio, Games Workshop, hiring a fan. But after hearing the story of like, oh, the other content creators have been told, hey, stop. If you're going to keep doing this, we'd like you to do it on our streaming platform, otherwise stop. Makes me feel like as if this guy, he took the deal because it was a case of he was strong-armed into, if he did try to do this on YouTube or something like that for free, he would have been in trouble.
Yes, it's a lot of the content creators, these are not the people that play the games. These are the people that make the art, make the fan work, make animation series that... Think of them as like either spin-offs, side stories, parodies, or whatever.
Or just simply the people that make the art. I remember Bricky talking about it in his most recent video about Darktide after they did like a lot of changes. There's some really fucking amazing art from like in one of the screens for like the class like upgrades and such. And unfortunately, you do not know who the fucking artist's name is that did it. They're not gonna pop up on DeviantArt or ArtStation because, yeah, you just have no fucking clue, and they're just sort of relegated in this weird section of the screen, so you can't. It's not like you can do like a Google reverse image search to find them.
Yeah, and it's a lot to do with Games Workshop themselves. They followed this weird and really stupid way of getting content.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, the people that make this content get the short end of the stick.
It's because it's classical copyright protection. It's not copyright protection from the modern internet era, like what Blizzard and Bungie have to deal with.
It's beyond that. Like, you can't even make fan art without potentially getting screwed by Games Workshop.
Yeah.
Or fan content. That's why If the Emperor Had Text-to-Speech was, I'm pretty sure it's like stopped because content creator was pretty much pressured or too scared to make more in case of him getting an order or something. It was that bad. Like, at least with Nintendo, if you make fan art, like, or animated series or whatever, as long as it's, you know, not safe for work, right? Like, if it's not safe for work, then Nintendo's just gonna be like, can you please stop?
Can you please stop trying to make Mario Elephant sexy?
Even though we know that it's the internet, but if it's something like a comic series, I kind of know one, but I'm not going to say what it is. But if you make something that's safe for work, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, Nintendo's not going to really go after you. But Games Workshop, they'll pretty much go after you if you make any sort of traction. Like, you have an audience, you have people growing.
Yeah. Again, it's just the classic way of doing copyright, where it's like basically a case of, oh, if this is popping up on in our like circle and we're not making money off of it, then it's infringing on our IP.
Yeah, if they're not making money from it, they'll just strong arm whoever's involved.
Yeah, it's an old way of doing things, and it's a very dumb way of doing things, especially if you're a niche IP like Warhammer, quite frankly. Because I was never going to get into Warhammer because of the tabletop.
The tabletop itself is too expensive to get it. I'm not kidding when you're trying to get miniatures.
Oh, dude, like, even getting a pair of dice is fucking expensive. Like, I was in a store, and they were selling you like Space Marine dice. They just use D6s. Do you know how much it cost to get like 4 D6s from them?
What? How much?
Like $25 US. So basically almost $50.
At that point, you might as well just use normal D6s and say, this will represent this and this will represent that. It's like how when I do plane chase for MTG, if I don't have my plane chase dice,
I just say
1 is planes walk and 6 is chaos.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and here's the thing: is like the Warhammer dice, they were lovely. Like, don't get me wrong, they were a cool blue. They had a little bit of weight to them, so they didn't feel like, you know, straight edge metal. They just had like a knife heft to them. And the only thing that was different about them is instead of a 6, they had the Adeptus Astartes symbol. So it was like just in theme and such.
It's kind of weird looking at it. I had people ask me about, you know how there's Gunpla?
Yes.
Yes, Gunpla, and then you got the miniatures and all that. And people are saying, like, why do people still get into Gunpla, but people are having trouble getting into miniatures?
Mm-hmm.
And it follows the premise of who's making it. Because a lot of the time, miniatures are mostly a Western thing, and Gunpla is an Asian thing.
Yeah.
Predominantly Japanese. And with the Japanese, they at least understand that, okay, people love this series, but if we make it too expensive, people aren't gonna buy it. But they at least know that people are willing to buy it for... If you love Gundam, and trust me, there's a lot of people that love Gundam, they will go out of their way for it.
Yeah, okay.
But with miniatures, if it looks like you're not getting a good deal, you're not gonna buy it. Like, for example, buying 1 miniature is not good compared to buying a Gunpla set, because you're building a full-on figure from that, whereas for 1 miniature, you're like, you need at least 10 of these things.
Yeah, and what's more is they're in the same sort of realm as the Gunplas, where you're basically needing to not only do like a little bit of assembly, but you need to also do painting for the miniatures, which is, you know, I don't know how many people are interested in doing the meticulous work for a singular miniature compared to like 10 of them.
The painting of miniatures is its own art, which, in my opinion, I think is perfectly fine. It gives people the ability to make whatever they want with said miniature.
Well,
and it's a thing where if you enjoy painting, then you'll love it. It's like how people love to deck build, but they may not necessarily like to play the game itself.
That's you, right? With your 30 decks?
Oh no, I deck build and play. There's a difference. Like some people just like the concept of, oh, this makes my brain tick when I try to make synergies happen. But they may not necessarily be the best player to pilot said deck.
Yeah, they're more interested in like theme and synergy energy for the math, like either one of those two things, but not the, you know, being part of stacks or trying to...
It's the theory, yeah, think of it as a theory.
Yeah.
I know some people out there, they love painting miniatures, but they may not necessarily play. Like, it's the same thing with D&D, like, some people play with the D&D miniatures. Like, some people just straight up play without them being painted because they don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And there's also the exact opposite as well. Miniatures, they actually look nice on the shelf too.
No, I imagine they do. And like back to the art thing. Iggy, also hi Danny. I'm speaking with Blue Foxy 9CIC in the Discord. You know how there's like the whole scalping and expensive cards, and it's like half of them are a case of either, oh, it's mechanically strong, like Gaia's Cradle or some shit, but then like half the time it's, I'm just trying to make cards expensive, like the first edition of Charizard or something like that.
Oh, that is a completely different matter. When it comes to scalping, this has been happening ever since the Logan Paul, the Jake Paul. I don't know. I can't remember which one of the two brothers. Okay.
Point is, content creators started making draft pools like a thing for viewing and for content.
Yes. Which then caused people to be like, oh, so this thing exists. Maybe I'll make money if I did this. Like, let's just buy as many boxes of this set or the latest set as possible. Or when the Digimon card game came out, people were trying to scalp the original first set.
Yeah.
As in, people who actually wanted to play had trouble trying to play because they couldn't get the cards.
Yeah. So
this, in my opinion, is one of the biggest problems for any TCG coming out nowadays. It also applied to Flesh and Blood, MetaZoo. It's happening to Lorcana.
What about One Piece?
One Piece, yeah, it did it to One Piece. It did it to Dragon Ball to an extent. But the whole point is, if you have scalpers buying the first set of the card game, no one can play the card game because they can't find the cards themselves.
Yeah.
And then the card game dies, and then the product that the scalpers just bought become worthless because the card game is most likely dead or on its way to being dead.
Because the scalpers aren't interested in playing, and how do you convince... Like, I feel like the only ways you can counter scalpers is, unfortunately, that's where you need brick and mortar stores to be part of the transaction process, which is not, you know, gonna work in line with
Something tells me we're close.
Modern marketing strategy, which is, you know, removal of the MSRP, selling directly, trying to get, you know, as many sales as possible, as, you know, as quickly as possible.
It doesn't work that way though. It's not, the solution is not in the brick and mortar stores. It's in the actual company that manufactures the card game.
Okay.
One solution that the Digimon card game did, because it's by Bandai, they made the first few sets unlimited print.
Oh, so it was basically almost a case of it was made to order in a way. There would always be a set you could purchase.
Yes, so they'll keep reprinting that set as demand requires of it. So then scalpers will realize, what's the point in me hoarding this set if they're just going to keep printing it?
Yeah, so they will have to... It will basically, you know, force them to sort of dump their set, because then the likelihood of rare cards is going to be more likely as more are printed.
All right.
Right, okay, so like there's Flesh and Blood, there is their first set, which they labeled as first edition, and then they reprinted that set as unlimited print, which you can easily tell by on the box. The box will say first edition, and then the other one will just not say it at all. The cards from the first edition set are more valuable because they're first edition, but the exact same cards without the first edition appear in the unlimited print. It gives people a chance to play.
My brain. Also, hi there, Leon Hart. Welcome to the stream. Blue is telling me the intricacies of the TCG economics.
Each card game has its own problems. Yu-Gi-Oh is a mess.
Yeah.
It's a really big mess.
You know what I imagine will like happen at one point in the future that is going to be a problem that Warhammer is going to have to try and deal with?
I'm gonna break you out.
Is someone is going to market miniatures or whatever kinds of things being done like, you know, already made and put together, but it's going to be like an extra cost because some big popular artist did like the artwork for it.
In a sense, it's kind of like that. The current trend right now, which is happening to pretty much everything that you can technically play on a tabletop. People are making proxies of trading cards so they can actually play. People are making 3D printed miniatures so they can have their tabletop wargaming. Just because the companies who make the original franchises or continue to make products for said franchises have pretty much are trying to milk us to the point that we can't afford to buy things, or they do things that are considered unethical.
It should shut down.
Like with Warhammer, the problem with that is people just straight up can't afford it because prices just keep going up. You're trying to explain to yourself, why does it cost like $30 for this one miniature when I can just go home and 3D print it for way less? It's the concept of, I want to play the game. I want to support them, but they've been screwing us for years.
Getting hot in here. I haven't noticed. I think this suit is fireproof. Lucky you.
With Magic, it's the problem of, you know how people are just proxying a lot because they want to play?
Yeah.
It's following some bad practices, a bit from Yu-Gi-Oh, a bit from elsewhere, but it started a lot from the abolishment of the MSRP.
Yeah, that I think a lot of people looked at that and they were like, this is a very specific fuck you to independent retailers because it means that they can now like sell at cost or less on Amazon if they wanted to directly. It was like the first part. Like even dumb me could see that was a problem.
And there's also that other thing, because now they got rid of it, it introduces another problem of, okay, I can get the cards from Target, I can get the cards from Amazon, and this is me referring to the US Target store, not the Australian one.
Yeah, because US Target has a lot more stock than Australian Target, I've noticed.
Yeah, and there's other people like, oh, I can also go to Walmart and buy all my card product from there. It's like, sure, it can be cheaper, but what does that say to the brick and mortar stores?
Yeah. it's problematic.
They're not getting the support they need. I actually spoken to a lot of brick and mortar store owners, like even to the one I regularly frequent. They are having issues making money now. They're probably just going over. Like after going through cost, like rent, trying to make back the money they spent on stocking said product. It's not profitable by a large margin, but it's not sustainable.
Yeah. Because their best way of making money is either in card sets that are not going to get scalped out and aren't going to have like their MSRP, you know, fuck around and all that, or through singleton and, you know, independent events that can happen at the brick and mortar, such as hosting events.
Ever since the pandemic, like everywhere is trying to recover. You know how restaurants are just now recovering from the pandemic?
Yeah.
That's sort of the deal. A lot of people are playing online. You got MTG Arena, you got Master Duel, you got Pokemon, PCG Online, whatever. Not a lot of people go to brick and mortar stores. And I've been seeing it every time I go to my Commander nights. And I hate to see it for Friday Night Magic.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's go!
The whole point is, if you're gonna play the game, what is it worth it to you? Is it physically being there playing with people, or just actually being able to play?
Job always so stressful? Yoga's done
For myself, I don't know anymore. And I have no idea if that's just a case of me getting older and, you know, being the old guy that's just yelling at the clouds that I keep hearing my grandfather, like my dad or my grandfather would have been, because it's like, oh, here's a special interest that is not going to, you know, sustain or anything like that. Or if it's, you know, something a little more unique.
Yeah, I can understand why you're like that. There's several reasons why.
Hold up!
Can you see if we were followed? On it.
Like, here's the thing.
Only downside
I
to
collect
going straight.
the physical card game itself
The game keeps
because
you in
A,
shape.
Glad we got
I'm
to
that
you,
kind of
Tom.
person
Some
that
of the
prefers to
others
have the
weren't so
physical
lucky.
product. Let's
They
say the
couldn't have off me
company
if they tried.
takes away their online
Besides,
services
they
for
were
said
waiting for their
thing,
boss
and
to
you
do the
invested
deed.
into it. It's, you know how people go
You
into
have someplace safe to go?
FIFA and like they gacha for the players.
Yeah. And they
Yeah,
still do.
yeah, and when you move on to the next game, you can't transfer that over. You're like, oh shit, I don't know what I can do. But me having the physical card game, I can play it anywhere. I'm able to physically touch and look at the cards myself, and they retain an actual value, even if they're chaff.
Yeah, no, like I don't know, my thing is just trying to keep up with the rat race or whatever that goes off with the game right now is where I'm currently at. Like, there's like, you saw my deck. There's ways I can improve. I've got all these cards that I could make another deck on, but at the end of my day, after, you know, going through work or, you know, trying to be social and such, catching up on the TV shows or the games that I want to catch up on, and then it's just sort of like, I'm not in high school or university anymore. I'm not surrounded by all these people that want to play Magic the Gathering and what have you. Like, there's a lot more investment that needs to now go into it. And like the brick and mortars, it's like I have to do this like self-evaluation of like, is it worth this investment? Like, because there will come a point where some hobbies you just grow out of, like punching your friends because you're pretending to be Power Rangers. You kind of stop doing that after a while.
It's a thing that you need to push into. I keep collecting and I keep building decks because I actually have a play group I actually physically go out to card shops if they have Commander on that particular day. Down here for me, it's a Thursday for majority of places, but some places do it on the weekend. Or if there's someone I know from another play group, they would tell me, "Oh, there's this Commander thing that's happening every Saturday. If you're interested in going to that on um, Saturday, when you can't normally go to your thing on Thursday, you can go to that one too." So it's become a thing where you need to go out and socialize.
Yeah.
And once you socialize with people, I this this card shop I keep going to myself, like another one. People at least know who I am. I'm the crazy guy that made 4 decks for 2 commanders because they're partner, and one of them has the gimmick of at the beginning of the game, I have to declare what color they are before I even, do anything.
Radio.
Yeah, so I made 4 separate decks, which because of that gimmick, and I love it. It's really dumb, but it comes down to, okay, is there a card shop nearby that hosts Commander? Oh, there is? Okay, I'm gonna go down and see what it's like. And then if I enjoy it, I'll make it my weekly or fortnightly journey to try and go to that place. And then socialize. It's mostly the socializing aspect.
Yeah. I guess that's where you and I kind of split/separate is with like where I am, like in Brisbane or slightly outside of it. It's a trip and a half for me, and I am just now tired. It's just
Yeah, it's just all about, all right, if I can dedicate one day to doing this activity, it makes it worth it. Plus, you make how I know have connections with people. It's me going to these things and then asking like, oh, so you know this guy, who knows that person, or whatever. And I can pretty much find a lot of things because I will just ask people.
Ugh, excuse me. Radio.
I know up in Queensland, I'm trying to remember which. Oh my god.
Serdadonks88 paid me to say a
I
Ben
know
Wema
they
Ben
have
Ben
a
Wem Ben Ben
big
Ben
community
Wema
up there.
WA2 Ben Ben Wema BLA BLA Ben Wema a Ben Wem
What
Ben
in the
Ben
world
Ben
is Sir
Wema 2
Dragon
Ben
putting into
Ben.
my hair? I did not understand what he text to speech to me with. Sorry, you were saying you knew something in Queensland?
Yes. Okay, so I know Queensland has a big Force of Will community. That's another card game, but that's besides the point. They have. Where is it? Where is that community?
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it. It won't take me too long.
It's okay. You don't look too far into it. Like you're talking to a very introverted Zeebs. Like I don't like my foray into the furry fandom has been very much on being able to reach it from online, not through like, physically going to meetups and such like that. Like the South Bank Fur Meet, I've gone like maybe 3 times in 3 years, and every single time I'm doing the same impression, which is I know no one here. It is spooky as fuck trying to approach any of these people, either because it's intimidating as a new person, or it is very cringe hearing some of this high school dialogue. I need to go to these things more often if I want to be more comfortable. And then I don't go for like a year.
Looks like to me. Oh wait, this thing is in. Yeah, this thing is in Brisbane.
So yeah, so.
Yeah, it's all about venturing out. Like originally I didn't venture out, but then I started putting in effort. Even when my other friends stopped doing it, I said, you know what? I'm not gonna be like some of my asshole friends and stop doing things. I'm actually just gonna keep going. Yeah, and I have a right to call them assholes.
That's I applaud you for being able to do that. I
Serverdogs88
can't at
paid me
this
to say
point.
you never fully realize how antisocial you are until a pandemic strikes and your life does not really change that much.
Oh, that cuts kind of deep, Sir Dragon. I don't know if you understand that.
That cuts so deep. It's ever since the pandemic hit, you like I was just stuck in the house. I wanted to go out and go see friends and play games.
I was almost in the same sort of thing. Like, even though I was in a house, like during the pandemic, I was in a household where there was like 2 other guys, so I could do a little bit of communication there. But I mentioned this back on Monday. Like, I barely have anyone in Australia, let alone Brisbane. Like, and the work I feel like I have to do is just not worth the investment. It just simply isn't. I've probably have tried doing this now like 4 or 5 times of like here's a group, here's a clique, or here's some get together. Let me try and like put in the energy, get a connection, try and get more connections off of that, and no longer rely on a linchpin. It's like that has not worked for me, either for a multitude of reasons of either like maybe a pandemic goes off or like, you know, I just don't interact with them for weeks on end, and so any social, you know, connectivity just sort of degrades over time and such. But it's a very strange, like, have you ever done something like so many times, and each time you've done it, it's been a degraded return that at one point you just question why continue doing this when the energy can be going into anything else, but you're not able to get the energy into anything else, and so it just ends up dissipating.
I relate to that too much. It's for me. It was tabletop. Yeah, so I would organize, let's say, every fortnight. I'm gonna bring some tabletop games. Another friend of mine did the exact same thing. Like one fortnight he'll bring games, the other fortnight I'll bring games. But this is because the friend group I was in, to be honest, they were kind of shitty. Like like several times we bring in tabletop games, we were ready to play, and the others are just playing Smash. Yeah, and we're just like, you already knew that we were gonna bring games. Like, I want to play some tabletop. I want to play some board games for once, and they're busy playing Smash. Well, you can just play Smash whenever you want.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, which then caused me and this other friend to stop bringing in tabletop because of how inconsiderate people can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, down the track, I'm starting to, open into that kind of hobby again of
come for me
tabletop.
again?
Because rather than rely on that
Tell
friend
your
group,
friend thanks for
I'm
looking out
moving
for
to
me.
a new friend group.
See you around.
It's now about finding the right people.
Yeah. I think I'm between friend groups right now, frankly. Like, I'm communicating with people at work, but I'm not communicating with them outside of work. Some of the people I know from, you know, university, post-university, like, a lot of them I'm not really communicating with as much anymore. Like, even though there's one group of, like, there's one couple that's like a block away from me, and we'll do the board game nights, but they're so far apart, the actual board game nights or anything like that, that I think they've just abandoned at this point, or it's still going on and I just never got the invite again, and I just don't want to impede on them because I know I'm that kind of autistic. I know I'm a lot of work for some people to listen to.
No, trust me, like, when it comes to things like that, I know someone that is 100 times worse than you.
Oh yeah, no, like
And I deal with them on a regular basis.
I've seen like some of the bad, like here's the thing, it's like I have gone through after school lessons since I could remember, like maybe 4 or 5 years old. I wasn't told I was autistic until I was like basically a teenager, and you know, while I was going through puberty, slowly learning about like, oh, you might have like some developmental things that be slightly different, and it's not about genetics, it's not about like hormones or anything like that, it's more about like, oh, the chemistry in the brain kind of nonsense. Like I had all this stuff and I was given such a important and very helpful level of, you know, not combating it, but just being able to live with it and such, so that it's not a problem at work or when I want to, or when I need to communicate with someone that isn't in my special interests. Like when I was up in the States and there's like 12 French people at the dining table, I'm able to, like, once one of them was speaking English to me or something like that, I was able to, you know, have the conversation move away from, oh, what kind of cheeses do you like, to instead, what are your thoughts about the mental state of fucking Vladimir Putin trying to take on Ukraine? And we get into like a full-on 3-hour conversation about socioeconomic and geopolitical nonsense. It's like, I can do all this kind of shit. But then it's like, it's a struggle in some of the more casual conversations and such. After all that, and then I'll just see some sort of, like, definitely like 1 or 2 autistic people I think I've seen at work, and it's like they are just a headache for me to deal with. And God, fuck you, brain.
We all live in a weird and crazy world, and it always comes down to,
excuse me,
you just need to go out there and try to make a commitment to one thing. Like,
Servergonks88 paid me to say, why does everyone force introverts to be talkative and leave their comfort zone, but no one forces the extroverts to shut up, even for a minute, to make the zone comfortable.
He said, I actually make this my commitment.
So, what was that again? Sorry?
He pretty much said, I make this my commitment. I dedicate this day to go out and see friends. Even if not a lot of them are there, he at least knows that there'll be a play group for him on that particular day, no matter what. Even though it can be a pain in the ass to go out there sometimes. Didn't you just...
Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason why he does it is so he keeps himself from going insane,
really spider pals now.
and at least have some
I think I'm gonna head back to the lab,
social
see if
life
Dr.
going
Connors has showed up yet.
Good call. I'll catch up with you soon.
Okay.
Yeah, he makes the journey every Saturday to go to the city to do said thing, which is, in this case, playing Commander. And his play group, majority of the people will be there. Majority of them. Or even if they're not there, there's at least going to be people for him to play against.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if it's not his regular play group. So, for him, it's, you need to commit to this, and he's been telling me to do the same thing. But I tried to do it, but work was the main reason for fucking over my schedule.
help?
But since I'm free now, I can make these sort of commitments.
That's good.
My buddy Harry?
Yeah,
it's some sort of power suit.
And this is the same thing I did in the US. Like, when I was technically I was new to Magic from 2016, and I went there in 2017.
It's all happening fast.
I only learnt about the play groups because I decided to go to one card shop, and shopkeeper told me this and that, and then I went from there.
Could be nothing. They've been having a lot of interference from the surrounding buildings.
No. The
And
spiders are finally
looking at your
moving in
statement,
with
Sir
pace.
Dragon, let's see, why does everyone force introverts to be talkative and leave their comfort zone, but no one forces the extroverts to shut up even for a minute to make the zone comfortable?
Because the extrovert isn't in the same zone as the introvert is like the obvious answer, quite frankly. Like, and what's more is, excuse me, there is a huge misconception that somehow introverts will stay introverted and extroverts will stay extroverted. Like that's not how we work. We are social creatures at heart. Introverted people will like go out and talk to people and have an interest and do the grind and such. And there's some extroverted people that want, you know, the 30 minutes to 3 hours of I just want to sit in my beanbag sipping my iced tea. Like there is this spectrum. The difference is introverted people, they lose energy from socializing with people. So the efforts into like, say, going out to the Saturday, going into the city, bumping the pavement and such like that, for the introvert, that is energy getting to it, and it's energy when you're there. Whereas with the extrovert, it's energy getting into it, but then you're gaining your energy a little bit again as you're back, as you're now on like the pavement doing your socializing and such like that. It's all about energy management and just like this. How do I explain? Because it's like you're still, both parties can still be losing energy across the day. The difference is introverts, they lose it quicker in social situations more often than not, and extroverts, it's more of a sustained sort of marathon deceleration thing.
While we're on this topic, can you guess, am I introverted or extroverted? Yeah, actually guess which one I am.
I would put you down as an introvert just because of, while you are a streamer who has been able to do like the moderation, the fun little interactions and such like that, I've met you like in real life. And in the brief time that I've like met you at Furdu and such, there are aspects of you that aren't, you know, 100% extrovert and are just, you know. Yeah, that's my assessment. I could be completely wrong.
So, for me, I'm predominantly introverted, but because I made it my mission to be more sociable, like because originally I was a shy and timid person, like I wouldn't talk to anyone. Yeah, and thanks to my adventure to the US, which I managed to guilt trip the interviewer to giving me the chance. It was hilarious. I used it as a way to improve myself, you know, self-betterment. And from that time being over there, I decided to, you know, be a bit more outgoing. Which is working. Like, I see that as a big improvement to my life.
Yeah, that's
good. But I'm still introverted at heart. Like, outside, I will socialize with people, but then I would lose energy over interactions.
Yeah, like that's the introverted part, is like the socialization isn't refueling you for some other activity. It is like, that is the activity, is the socializing.
Like, people stuck in this mindset of extroverts are the people that will always, you know, keep talking. They want to express themselves out in public.
They're the ones that are going hiking. It's like,
or they're the people that, in my honest opinion, these are the people that will go out to nightclubs and do crazy shit you see on TikTok or whatever.
Yeah.
And the introverts are what you call stereotypically the people that will shut in their room, read a book, listen to music, or just stare at a wall for like 5 hours.
What else is at this base?
And that's like the generic terms for extrovert and introvert, but people don't see there's introverts that are sociable, but they can't stay out for too long. And then there's extroverts that can't stand being by themselves, so they need to recharge by talking to people.
Yeah.
Like, you can see it across other streamers too. Like, if you see someone like Z, he's the kind of person that I wouldn't say he's fully extroverted, but he's more extroverted than introverted.
Excuse me. Not looking to like be influenced by like your assessment and such. I did think he was an extrovert individual. I didn't think he was an introvert. So.
Yeah, but he's not by much. He's not your typical extrovert. But he's extrovert enough because you already know his profession. He talks and deals with people in a professional manner.
Yeah.
Wait.
So, and he's adopted a thing where
it's all happening fast.
He will have some introverted aspects, but he is predominantly extroverted, not by a lot, but you know he is outgoing to people.
Yeah. Excuse me, throat. So yeah. Yeah.
It all just comes down to, okay, it's just these people need to understand extroverts and introverts are your extreme ends, and then you got the people that start slowly making their way to the middle.
Yeah.
It's that sort of range you can go off. For me, I would say I am close to the middle, but I'm still towards the more introverted side. Because there are days where I just don't want to talk to people. I don't want to deal with people. And then there are days where I want to at least hang out with somebody.
Yeah. I can be like that. Like, I feel like more days I'm exhausted after work with communication and such. But most people, like, if I am comfortable with you, I will talk your ear off. I will want to have these conversations and, you know, either pick on your special interests, like you with the TCG, Z with any of his knowledge of media and what have you. It's like, I will want to socialize and what have you, but it's like, those occur like outside the norm for me. There are more days where I will want to recharge at the end of the day rather than, you know, get onto streaming and do, like, I don't know, a fucking VR chat stream and be like, oh, hey guys, meow meow meow, and like just try and keep a conversation going for 3 hours by myself. Nah, fuck that.
And you know what else is another thing too, with introverts and extroverts and people that are mixed?
Yep.
It also depends on the setting itself. Like, a lot of people have this misguided thinking of introverts and extroverts.
Alright folks, updates on the trial of the century. The people
you know, they're defined extremes, but they never think of what situation those people can be in. Like, for example, if you have an introvert be in a 1v1 conversation with someone, if that person's a stranger, they're obviously not going to open up. But if it's someone that they know, they'll probably open up to them quite a lot. And then there's the other situation of what happens if they're in a group setting.
Yes, I am curious. Like I think, like you said, it's based off of environment a little bit. So, and you know, that's where the introvert and extrovert, like, that's where separation can start, is just because of, like, oh, what is the likely environment you will see the two? And it's just a case of, you know, the introvert is looking for comfort and familiarity, and that's what gets them talking a lot and such like that. Not throwing them out of their little bubble, forcing them into, say, karaoke for the very first time with people they've never heard of before, or at a ball game where they're just, you know, hearing nothing but the jeer in the crowd, and they may not have a following of any of the teams playing right now.
Like, there's been a lot of room parties, per se, where there's sometimes I would be in a room with people I know, but I don't want to talk to them because they probably don't have a vested interest in talking to me at that current time.
Right.
Or there's times where people want to talk to me, and then I'll open up to them in the same situation. It really depends on environment as well.
Yeah.
Like, is it gonna be half people you know? Is it gonna be other half strangers? Or is it gonna be everyone you know, but you don't know them or on a certain level? Like, some people will be, okay, I can constantly talk to this guy or whatever as much as I want, and then the person next to you know them as a friend, but they don't have an interest in
Some
talking
things
to
in New
you
York you just
at that
can't
current time.
explain.
Yeah.
And that's what's great about it.
There are a number of times I feel like I'm interested in talking to people, hanging out, especially because streaming is like one of the reasons I've done it is here's an opportunity for me to try and be a little more social during one of my more downtime activities after work, which is playing video games and what have you. Like, hang on, where is the... Okay. Like, I want to... when it comes to some streams, it's like, I do want to do the whole interacting with people and socializing like we are doing right now. Probably do a better job, I will be frank with you, like, because I got a sore throat and I'm not in the doing the best multitasking right now, and so I'm kind of relying on you when you do your anecdote stories and explanations about subject matters that I have not much of a... what's the word I'm looking for? Depth of knowledge about and such. But I like interacting and socializing and such, and I use streaming as a means of trying to initiate it with other streamers and such. Sometimes people just aren't, you know, interested at the times that I'm able to.
It's that sort of thing. Like, to be able to communicate to other streamers, you also need to put time to go to their streams.
Surdredonks88 paid me to say
how
my
I know
first
people
instinct
like
when I see animal is to say hello.
I just go to a lot of people's
My first instinct when I see person is to
be
avoid eye
there
contact
for
and
the
hope it
streamer.
goes away.
And like, there are times where I won't visit that streamer for a certain time. I'll see another streamer, and then I'll go back to them, and you know, it's kind of hard when you have at least 30 people you know are streamers, and you can't realistically be there for all of them at reasonable times.
Yeah, no, I get you. Because and what's more is you're like a number of the streamers you are familiar with. You're in a moderator role with them as well. So if there is an occasion of visiting them and such like that, it's either going to be it's a lo-fi enough stream where you're not needing to be a moderator, or if you do visit, there is enough people in there that you're probably having to switch hats, aren't you?
Yeah, it really depends. Like, the only reason why I have moderator status on at least half of it
Look at you rocking the
is they had to give the VIP badge to someone else.
Lol, what?
Yeah. Because you gotta remember, you can have up to 100 VIP badges at any given time, but you need to actually unlock VIP badges in increments of 10. Like right
because
now,
I got raided by like a 100 or 200 party, I think I unlocked like the maximum number of VIPs very early on. Hang on a second.
It's based on people chatting at the same time.
Excuse me.
Like for me right now, I have I think 40 VIP badges unlocked, and I need at least 50 people to be chatting to actually get the next 10.
Where can I get like you have this many VIP slots?
So you know when you go to your creator dashboard.
Yes.
I believe it's you. Go under community and go to roles manager.
All right, hang on. Let me make it a full size thing. Display roles, VIP. All right, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4.
So you go to roles manager, click on anyone, and click on the plus. Click on the plus in their roles, and in there you can see moderator, VIP, artist, and editor. Okay, it turns out I actually have 50 VIP badges.
I have 44 out of 60 provided.
So you can still give out VIP badges, alright?
Yeah. I basically had 60 for like a long time, I swear. Like back when I had like maybe 3 people watching me because I didn't tell anyone at work because I was like, I'm not going to tell anyone who knows my face and my job that this is what I look like on my streams. I don't look like this IRL. I look so much worse.
Oh man, for me when it comes to the roles, I think if you wanna wait, freaking hell, they changed a lot in this. I believe it's under.
Hang on a second.
It's under achievements. So if you go to analytics and achievements,
it will tell you how many you need to get talking at the same
build a
time.
community. Yeah, you go under build a community, and it'll tell you the requirements to get the next one. So for me to get more VIP badges, I need to have at least 50 people chatting at the same time. And the highest amount I gotten is 28.
The highest amount I gotten was 55.
Yes. And this doesn't, it has to be people actually chatting. I'm not sure if it includes the raiders.
It definitely does, because I know exactly when I got 55 people talking at the same time, and it was because of the raid message.
Yeah, it's really weird because sometimes when people raid, not everyone in the raid is going to say something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why the highest I gotten is 28.
Yeah. I think, I got 55 people talking at the same time in a raid where there was like 160 people who came in. So I was very fortunate where basically a third of them were saying, hello. Hang on, I can do a better Mr. Bean voice. Hello. Was that a good Mr. Bean voice?
It's okay, I guess.
So yeah.
Don't ask me to pull it because I'm nowhere near British.
Oh no.
But anyway,
this evolution with this accent, not British enough.
Freaking, who do you think is the one that's giving you the Asian voice lines, mate?
You are.
Yeah, that's me. Do you think I can pull off a British accent? Freaking Velveta is more likely to give a British accent.
I don't know if Velveta will ever give me voice lines.
No,
yours are still like way too popular as well. Hang on, I'm just readjusting your size so then that way you're like a proper full-size peep. There you go.
It's just who I am. Like currently at the moment, like I'm on a small hiatus because of circumstances.
I am aware on your Discord that you did mention a few things, so which is why like my whole like thing of you whenever you go into Throne is like very much genuine, where it's just sort of like get your shit in order. Because real life takes priority every time over streaming and shit. So
all I can say now is I am currently not able to stream. I'm just not able to. I physically don't have access to my setup.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's why I can't stream. And it's gonna be like this for a little bit longer.
And Spider-Bob's got him on the ropes! Oh, was that a steel chair?
So, I won't...
But yeah, when I get back into it, you'll know when I get back into it.
Oh, I should hope so. I have been going at this whole socialization thing like a fucking sim. I am hoping, even after my 2 weeks hiatus over in the United States, that I haven't like lost friendships or any of that kind of shit because I haven't sent them a meme through TikTok or Telegram in a long time.
It's kind of funny because I actually have people just asking like, when are you coming back? And I'm getting shouted out every time I just show up in chat, even though the last thing I streamed was like more than a month ago.
Whether it's on the
Well,
stage or in the open air,
we gotta figure out at one point, because you would definitely be in this stream, but I need to organize a time. Probably either the end of November, beginning of December, before Christmas. I want to do the Magic the Gathering Jeopardy. I have gotten one board down. I am getting another one sorted out with just sort of blurs as the option, but with different kinds of categories. I want to get like 2 or 3 other people, like mixed levels of experience to you, doing the whole guessing Magic the Gathering shit because of a blurred image or the Oracle text. Is the Oracle text the quotes and all that?
No, Oracle text is the judge's ruling. Okay, so Oracle text is what the card actually does.
The rule text.
Against what is written.
Yeah.
Because there are cards out there that are written like this, but that's not what they actually do. Like, for example, I'll find you a dumbass card. Yeah, I'll
Wheel
find
of
you a
Misfortune,
dumbass card.
both players.
The Wheel of Misfortune, like, this is nothing compared to, let's see.
I swear to Christ, if you show me a land that just has the rule text for land, I hate to break it to you, but my cousin already has a deck where it's just nothing but plain cards doing that. He's awfully quiet, chat. He's probably on Scryfall right now, doing the darndest like look around of like, all right, I need to find something cursed. Write your predictions in chat in the card he's gonna give me. Let's see if he's gonna. Also, I need to double check he's not just. You're not just sharing your screen expecting me. No, you're not. Okay, cool. So you're looking for your card. Hopefully I didn't upset him.
What is it? There is a stupid card. I know for sure.
Okay, cool. He's still here.
Yeah, if you try to read this, you have no idea what it does.
Alright. You're challenging a himbo. I would like to give it a try. Please send me the card in either the Zebra streaming or a direct message or something. I wants to knows. Excuse me, throat. Let me know when you find the card. Alright, so we got Mysterio things, we got crime. I'm not gonna do photo help. What the hell? Oh, the Mysterio is a ranked thing. Oh, fuck that nonsense. Here we go.
Found it. I found it.
You found it? Alright, send it to me. I'll show it on stream. And I'll try and suss out what it means.
Oh yeah, just to let you know, this is the worst land in Magic history. The worst land.
Strip mine.
No, strip mine's good.
Strip mine's good? Okay, strip mine's good. Good to know. Alrighty. You know I'm probably gonna put this on the Jeopardy game now, right?
Yeah, but you do realize that I'm probably gonna be the only one that knows this.
Alrighty. Choose 2 target blocking creatures an opponent controls. If each of those creatures could block all creatures that the other is blocking, remove both of them from combat. Each one then blocks all creatures the other was blocking. Whenever Sorrow's Path becomes tapped, it deals 2 damage to you and each creature you control. Choose 2 blocking an opponent controls.
Just letting you know.
Shush.
This is the...
I am going into nerd mode. I am reading it for the second time, because reading the card helps explain the card. So, 2 blocking creatures an opponent controls. If each of those creatures could block all the creatures that the other is blocking. All right, so it's doing a check on if the first creature can block the same creatures that the second can block. It removes both of them from combat. But then each one then blocks all the other. So it's swapping the because it's pulling them out and then it's putting them back. Okay, I get what it's going on, because the reason why it's 2 blocking creatures is because it's at the declaring blocker step or at the declaring damage calculation, and you're essentially just saying, I am going to change the blocking targets. So, for example, maybe you have a first strike creature attacking a normal creature, and then your double strike is being blocked by, you know, like an indestructible death touch or some other kind of thing, and you're like, you know what? Fuck that. I want to swap what these 2 creatures are blocking, so then that way the first strike gets hit by the double strike guy, and then the other gets hit by the other thing.
Also, do keep in mind that whenever Sorrow's Path becomes tapped, it deals 2 damage to you and each creature you control. So, you're gonna board wipe yourself before you even get a chance to resolve this thing.
What are you talking?
That's not.
What kind of person is playing two toughness creatures?
A lot of people are. When you play Magic, a lot of the time your average toughness for creatures is probably going to be 2.
This is an important PSA if you're playing Magic the Gathering. Pick green. You're less likely to be playing a creature that's less than 2 toughness.
Yeah. But this card I just showed you, this is the one with the oracle text, as in this is the fixed text.
You didn't show me the one with the fucked up. I would have been interested in. I thought I was reading the fucked up text one. That one made total sense.
Now read the one that's fucked up.
You should have showed me the fucked up one first. All right, because here's the thing: is like now hindsight is going to be a bitch, and I'm just going to be like, oh, I know exactly what it's talking about and such like that. Yes, like this is going to be annoying because like now it's like going through fucking Empire Strikes Back, and then it's all of a sudden going, oh, and you didn't even give me a good look at this fucking thing. Look at this card that Blue got me. You fucked up, Blue. This thing is tiny. And, like, you give me the fucked up text after the Oracle text? Like, come on.
Yeah, I got you. Here's a better one. Here's an upgraded
Exchange
image
2 of the opponent's blocking creatures. This exchange may not cause an illegal block. It does 2 damage to you and 2 damage to each creature. Yeah, no, this is making, like, I feel like you might have gotten me on the whole, like, illegal block, because then I would be a case of, oh, what the fuck is an illegal block? But considering I read, like, the earlier Oracle text, I understand that the illegal block is, oh, you can't make a creature with reach that was blocking a flying now have the blocker be a non-reach, non-flying creature.
Yes. There are a lot of cards out there that are really hard to explain. One good example
That
is
wasn't
something
hard
called
to explain. That
Rock's
one...
Egg.
Alright, are you gonna give me the fucked up Rock's Egg, or are you gonna give me, like, the fixed Rock's Egg?
I'm gonna give you the fucked up Rock's Egg.
Alright, cool. At least we're fixing the format this time.
This will make such a difference for the community.
But yeah, what's the text called that gives you, like, just a quote? Like, for example, how the...
It's called flavor text.
Flavor text, thank you. So, that's one of the things I've done in the Jeopardy board, is I've done classic blurring, I've done the rearranging the letters for the name of the card, and the, like, grabbing the flavor text and going, all right, whose flavor text is this?
Here is the fucked up Rook's Egg. There's actually a card called Rock's Egg, and there's a card called Rook's Egg.
Alright.
Or whatever. This is the fucked up one.
Alrighty then.
I will not tell you what's fucked up about it till I show you
the fixed text. Alrighty, let's have a look. Also, I'm gonna move this into the camera thing. Alright. Now, if I zoom in, does it... Yes, okay. Spectacle time. If Rook's Egg goes to the graveyard, a Rook, which is a 4/4 red flying creature, comes into play on your side at the end of the turn. You use a counter to represent Rook. Rook is treated exactly like a normal creature, except that if it leaves play, it is removed from play until... Oh, it's just... That's just the creature token. Before they explain what the fuck a token was.
Yeah, but what do you think is the problem with this card?
It's an if statement. It should be a case of when Rook's Egg enters the graveyard. So that's the first problem. The second issue is the wordiness about trying to create the 4/4 red creature token, because it's saying come onto play at your side of the field at the end of that turn. It should... No, so Rook's Egg shouldn't be having the creature coming in at the end of the turn. It should be coming in when it's resolved in the graveyard. It's treated exactly like a normal creature, except that if it leaves play, it is removed from the game entirely. So, and that last bit is just a case of, oh, when it dies, it is exiled. Which, you know, most tokens function like that now, because we've now made token like a subtype. I can read that. I'm pretty confident.
Okay, that's what you think it does?
That's what I think it does.
Alright, I'm gonna send you the updated version.
Alrighty then, I will move the old egg to the left. Alrighty then, and save image. And then this is the new one. And wabam. And when it is put into the graveyard from play, put a 4/4 red bird or creature token with flying into play at the end of turn. Huh. So it's still a thingy-majiggy at the end of turn.
Yeah. But the Oracle text states when Rook Egg dies, create a 4/4 red bird creature token with flying at the beginning of the next end step. There is one problem that separates the old from the new. What do you think that problem is?
If it goes to the graveyard, a Rook goes put a 4/4 red. I'm gonna go with the random guess that there isn't a token called Rook.
That is not the correct answer.
All right. Do I get a second guess?
You get a second guess, and after that, I have to tell you what the answer is.
All right. 4/4 red. And flying creature. Oh! It's saying it's a flying creature instead of saying it's a creature with flying. So flying creature would have been originally would have been seen as like a subtype of a creature rather than a creature with the evergreen text flying.
That is incorrect.
Damn it. All right. Let me take my glasses off. What is it? What was the problem?
This is a problem that stemmed back to standard back in the day when this card was originally released. So, the problem lies in if Rook Egg goes to the graveyard, it never stated that it had to die or put into a graveyard from the battlefield or play.
Oh.
So what ended up happening was people were playing the card as it was written, which is if it goes into the graveyard. So what a lot of people did was they would discard it or send it from the deck to the grave, which will then proc its effect.
Yep.
So at the end of the turn, you just randomly make 4/4 red birds because you discarded it or you sent it to the graveyard through various means, not from when it's on the battlefield.
I imagine that would have been very fucking annoying considering this Rook's Egg is a 3 red and you can most certainly discard for less than 3 red, can't you?
It's a 4-cost card and you're not going to pay 4 mana to play this thing. No way.
Yeah. I
So
thought so.
what a lot of so standard back in the day was they had a lot of effects that let them discard or ways to send stuff from send from deck to grave. So what people would do is send this card from their hand to the graveyard, which will then proc its effect.
All right.
Because that's how people saw it from what it was written. But Wizards, when they made this card, they messed up. This was back in the day where they didn't have problems solving card text or had an understanding of how cards should be written.
Mm-hmm.
And it was intended that if the card is put into the graveyard from play or when it dies, the easiest way to say when it dies. So it's assuming that the creature's on board and dying is the process of it from going from the field to the graveyard.
Yep.
Then you'll proc the effect.
Radio.
For your support.
That makes I hope you understand, Blue, that you have likely given me a new card to add to the Jeopardy board, which is very helpful because I need to create a second Jeopardy board for when the points double.
Just let you know, another person knows the answer to this,
check in.
but they probably forgotten.
Lol, that would be great.
Because they got that info from me.
Fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, the source of truth for Magic the Gathering in my in my times whenever I play Magic the Gathering, and Blue might know anyone from the pod. Blue Foxy Nicey Icy.
In the city. Super stressed about my
don't get me
college
started
essay.
with cards
Pete's
that have the
busy doing other
typing
stuff.
enchant world.
Lee's still out there.
That's just a field spell, right?
Enchant world
of course
was their definition of saying this will affect everybody.
I'm committed to making this
But
community better.
a card that got reprinted
I've got to let go of
Double
things that
Masters,
don't
which
serve
is
me
Concordant
and focus
Crossroads.
on where I want to go, not where I've been.
Instead of saying enchant world, it's now being a right to say world enchantment. But the whole point is the effect affects everybody.
Right.
And they got rid of the world enchantment because
just let him go.
There's no point in adding world to the enchantment if it's going to affect everyone anyway.
Angela, I'm gonna have to call you back. No, how can you be locked out? You have a key. Oh.
Sorry, I just had to Google like field spells, and I was reminded of this anime card, the Seal of Orichalcus, because that was from the anime.
It's a real card in the TCG and OCG, but the effect is not as good.
Yeah, but
I figured that, because I'm gonna be real, some of the shit that happens in the Yu-Gi-Oh manga does not happen in the TCG. Like, Yugi being like, "Ah, yes, here's a dragon. It burns down your fucking field and changes the field spell." And I'm like, that does not happen.
If you
That
want...
does not happen in the TCG.
If we're gonna go into the world of Yu-Gi-Oh, just let you know, the anime is different from the manga, and the video games are different to both series. Because you know when they released Yu-Gi-Oh, let's see, Dark Side of Dimensions, which was the latest Yu-Gi-Oh movie?
No.
Okay,
I'm gonna be real. I've only seen like a little bit of the original Yu-Gi-Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh GX, and 2 episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh. What's the one when they're doing the fucking you know, motorcycles thing?
What, Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds?
Yeah, 5D's nuts.
I'm passionate about preserving the user
Okay,
this
so
community.
Yu-Gi-Oh Dark Side of Dimensions
security system isn't even functional.
is a movie that takes place after the end of the manga, because the ending of the manga for original Yu-Gi-Oh ended differently in the anime.
It's not responding to any input at all.
Oh yeah,
Let's see if I can
that's
figure out what's wrong with it.
doesn't sound crazy to me.
Okay.
As much as I love anime, I have sort of given up on it whenever it's like, oh, we're adapting it from fucking actually, I'm just gonna end this game because like it's 9 whatsamahoozies. I need to go to bed at some point. So,
but
now to transition over to here, now you're sitting on my desk.
But to keep things short enough, the anime has Kaiba watching the Pharaoh versus Yugi, and then, you know, the Pharaoh moves on, like goes to the afterlife.
Yep.
The manga doesn't have Kaiba watching that duel.
Neat. I thought it would be a lot worse.
Yeah, so because Kaiba didn't know that the Pharaoh is gone, that sets the premise for the movie where he wants to verse the Pharaoh because he's considered, you know, the king of games, and he wants to take the king of games title from him.
Yep.
So what he does is, I'm only going to give you the basics. He digs up the Millennium Puzzle and wants Yugi to pretty much wear it after he reconstructs it so he can verse the Pharaoh again. This is out of pride.
Typical Kaiba.
Yeah. I'm not going to explain any of the plot points because we'll be here for way too long for that. But the whole point is, Kaiba was never there, and when the Pharaoh moved on, or passed on into the afterlife.
Radio.
And he is so spiteful, well, his pride won't allow him to think that he can be the king of games by default.
You say, like, I don't know why, I feel like you're saying these things to try and give me, like, a little bit of a shock factor, and I'm just sort of like, yeah, that does not sound ridiculous.
Yeah.
I have...
To be...
Excuse me, throat.
To be fair, if I explain any more, it's gonna reach spoiler territory.
No, that's fair. And some people might want to actually, like, watch that movie, like, Coach in the chat. I think they play the whatsamahoozy thingamabigs. Alright. We need to go in a raid. And I think I know who it is we're going to raid. Because Code the Yoshi was... They originally wanted to do a 24-hour stream. That was going to take a lot of work, and their ass started hurting. So they took a bit of a break. Now they're back into streaming more Halloween stuff. So, we're going to go raid into Code the Yoshi. Hang on a second. I need to vote on a thingamadiggy and get the thingamadig. I think we're just going to keep it to a very simple Spooderman. So, get the raid going. Oh, Coach likes Digimon. Digimon is an isekai. I have to say that out loud, because it's in my brain for too long and people need to know.
You're not wrong.
You're right. I'm not wrong. The first one, obviously. The one where, like, you know, the one that got done by 4 kids, and it's like, Digimon. That one. Which plays into the second one. The third one, it's a reverse isekai, because they're getting the fucking Digimon from, like, the Whatsumahuzi universe into their own universe, much like Recreators. God damn, Recreators was a good show. I liked the premise of, let's just grab from, like, random other tropes and bring them into our universe. That was fucking great. And they didn't commit to that for other formats. Damn. All right, we'll have to pick up that conversation another time, Coach. I'm sorry to say. Maybe Friday night when I go play with Code the Yoshi in Baldur's Gate 3. Do you have Baldur's Gate 3, Blue?
Nope.
Get Baldur's Gate 3. It's fantastic if you want to play Magic the Gathering, or not Magic the Gathering, D&D, and you don't want to deal with a DM. But for everyone else, I want to say thank you to everyone who came along to tonight's stream. I greatly